Hello guys, welcome to episode 9 of the Irrelevant RockCast with me, Matt Mills, and...
Mr. DuPont.
And...
Matanza Mafia Fedora.
Welcome guys, this week we're going to be talking about the decline of Bullet for My Valentine. We're going to do a gig review of Baroness at the Southampton Engine Rooms. We're going to talk about Steel Panther's upcoming UK arena tour. We're going to talk about Muse at Glastonbury, Bruce Springsteen, the Ramblin' Man Fair, Wilson, and Sabaton and Alestorm and their upcoming show at Southampton Guildhall. And finally, we're going to close this week with our top 5 favourite live albums. Awesome. So we start with Bullet.
I think Bullet's a good place to start. It's something that we were willing to do last week, but because Mills wasn't here, we're doing it this week instead. And Bullet are a band who, let's just say over the past decade, have been like the British metal band in terms of popularity until a certain band called Bring Me the Horizon have kind of taken their throne.
I've always preferred Bullet to
so have I, mate.
Bring Me.
No, so have I, absolutely. But I'm just saying factual terms of popularity rather than taste, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like that niche has definitely sort of jumped from one to the other.
And do you know what's ironic? 2010, Bring Me was supporting Bullet.
Yeah, that was like a passing of the torch tour, I guess, or something like that.
Yeah, the Fever tour at Wembley Arena with Atreyu.
But Bullet for My Valentine, the history of that, we can start probably in 2005 with The Poison.
Brilliant album.
Smash hit, like...
Absolute, probably their best album.
Probably the most popular metalcore album possibly ever.
That was, between that and City of Evil by Avenged. Actually, no.
City of Evil isn't metalcore.
True, I meant Waken the Fallen. My mistake.
I don't know. I think it's a toss-up between Bullet's Poison and Trivium's Ascendancy.
Both 2005.
Of course, yeah. Well, that was like the height. That's when it suddenly burst out. Like this metalcore thing exploded because Trivium started.
And
Killswitch, and like you had Avenged Sevenfold. Well, 2005 they went more to mainstream rock and roll. But the point is, they started out really strong. They continued to be really strong. The Scream, Aim, Fire, Fever. They sort of got more towards thrash.
And the reason being was because on the Poison tour and the Scream, Aim, Fire tour, Matt Tuck had a lot of vocal problems.
So he went more for clean singing.
Yes, which is also what M Shadows and Avenged Sevenfold did.
Yeah, and then what happened with Matt Heafy from Trivium? Did he just stop?
No,
he just got sick of it.
No, it wasn't that. He just generally thought, I don't want to scream on our next record. But then they returned to it because the fans missed it and he missed it. So that was it. But anyway.
That's why Trivium are in my top 5, just because they can change that easily. Anyway, the point is, Bullet, they Scream and Fire was
album.
even bigger.
Very 80s sounding album.
Yeah, very 80s thrash.
Yeah, I love that. I reckon, what's his name? Guitar player, Padge. His guitar playing on Scream Aim Fire is like Iron Maiden-esque.
Some of our listeners might find that to be a bit blasphemous.
No, I agree. But if you listen to Take It Out On Me, that solo is like a lullaby.
I must admit, I'm going to get so much flack for this. I think Scream Aim Fire is overrated.
Do you? Okay, that's my favourite album.
I think.
But okay, that's fair.
Well, no, it's weird because like it feels like a transition album. Like you had The Poison, which had screaming, and which had musicianship that suited the screaming. And then Scream Aim Fire came out. They ditched the screaming, but the musicianship was still aggressive. And the vocals really bug me because it just sounds like throughout the entire thing that Matt Tuck wants to scream, but he doesn't. The entire album sounds restricted to me.
I understand. I know where you're coming from. For me, the only weak point on the album for me is the last song, Forever and Always, which just goes on a bit.
I've not listened to it in a fair while because I think it does sound quite restrained. And I think going on to Fever...
Your favourite album.
Is my favourite Bullet album. I think I've gone on the record saying that before.
Yes,
because it completes... arenas. Yeah, it completes what Scream Aim Fire tried to do.
Okay.
It's the full transition over to that clean-sung, more melodic, thrash-esque sound. And then Temper Temper came out. And then everything went to shit.
I'll tell you what, I got Temper Temper the week it came out on CD.
Same here, actually.
And let's just say this, I didn't have high hopes after listening to the first 2 singles. I thought Riot was a shit song with a shit music video. Also, I'm not going to go around talking about people's hair, but why did he cut his hair? He looks so cool.
Don't be that guy, for fuck's sake. Why? I hate it when people talk about musicians cutting their hair. They do the same with Matt Heafy.
No, it's not that. I just felt I'm not the people talking about Metallica and it's a tribute. I'm not that
Their
guy.
hair does not contain their songwriting ability.
No, I agree. I do agree. I just felt like short hair doesn't suit Matt Tuck in the same way that long hair.
You sound like my mum in reverse, just to finally have a word in here in this conversation. She's basically the same, but about me growing my hair.
Yeah.
And she says a man's integrity is based in the fact that he has to conform.
Sorry, I don't mean to be that guy. I just felt like the image of the record in general.
No.
The poor album, the poor ticket sales for the tour, and him cutting his hair just combined into one thing.
The thing is, though, unless you're an 80s glam metal or Black Veil Brides, I don't give a flying fuck how you look.
Yeah.
Heavy metal was never about, except in that glam sort of era. Even then, that's an offshoot that not many metalheads accept.
I'd say, what if Miles Kennedy had really short hair?
I would still listen to him and still think he's one of the greatest guitar players of all time.
And vocalist.
Of course.
Yes.
But anyway, outside from the fucking haircut, which pisses me off whenever people fucking bring it up.
Yeah.
Justly.
Yeah. It's such a nothing thing to notice. But because it happened at the same time as Temper Temper, everyone's like, oh my god, he's cut his hair, and that's why he's shit.
At least you guys can admit that I'm not the only guy who said that.
Oh, no. If anything, more people say that than not.
Yes, of course.
Things are like...
I hate
whenever I see a photo of Matt Tuck on the Bullet for My Valentine Facebook page, the top comment is always, you need long hair again. Why do you give a shit?
Yeah.
If he is happy with short hair, let him have fucking short hair. It's not like you know him. It's not like it's going to affect your enjoyment of the fucking music.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly. Because if anything, you listen to the audio. That is primarily what it's about. So logic dictates, anything that you've got about visuals and aesthetics. Just give it a rest, will you?
Yeah, definitely. It's my fucking god. Anyway, shall we talk about the actual album?
Okay.
Yeah, the Temper Temper album.
Yeah, my favourite song on the album, for me, one of the only good moments. I really like the song "Leech." I thought that was
really. I think that's the worst one.
No, I didn't like.
So
for me,
I hate. Sorry,
Tears Don't Fall Part 2 was the worst.
Was so unnecessary.
Yeah. I like Leech personally.
Tears Don't Fall Part 2 is a cash-in on their most successful single.
And also
because people will look at the back cover, think, oh, I know Tears Don't Fall because it's their most successful song. I want to hear the sequel. Better buy Temper Temper.
Yeah.
It's like they knew it's shit and they were looking for a desperate marketing gimmick.
Also, the first two singles, Temper Temper and Riot, were both crap songs.
I quite like the title track.
You like the title track?
I thought it was alright. I thought it had enough aggression to let it slide by.
The music video I didn't like.
The music video is pretty crap.
Exactly, and Breaking Point, the opener, was all right. It was
Breaking Point's my favourite song.
Okay, yeah, because I'm actually in the music video for that.
Okay.
Yeah, I am. I was at the Camden Roundhouse gig.
All right, Mr. Hollywood.
All right.
Now.
Sorry,
very quick point. You say basically that this is where everything went to shit for them.
Pretty much. We'll get more into that in a second.
Yeah, but basically, just to get the full context of it, at what point were they at in terms of the height of their career?
Sub-headlining.
And how much of a nosedive do you think this really had on them and their status?
I can explain. It was them and Avenged Sevenfold were the two bands sub-headlining festivals, selling out arenas, pushing Iron Maiden and Metallica and Black Sabbath and Slipknots.
Yeah.
And Avenged Sevenfold with Hell to the King, regardless of what people think of that album.
I like that. I'm going to go on the record and say I love Hell to the King.
We'll talk about that properly another time. But yeah, Avenged Sevenfold got to the top of the tree. Temper Temper has pushed them down. And when I say down, I'm on about down. Okay, they're not on a UK festival, but I reckon they'd be third or fourth on the bill now and not second. Also, they played Southampton Guildhall and didn't even sell it out.
Yeah, I was there.
I was at that gig. It was great. Really good show. I enjoyed it.
I thought it was pretty crap, actually.
Oh, do you?
I thought it was pretty, well, the thing is, who was it? It was While She Sleeps, Bullet for My Valentine, and was it Crossfaith?
No, not Crossfaith.
Xeno, wasn't it?
I can't remember. I missed the first band.
What the fuck was that? It's Japanese band. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, but I went to that gig, and Matt Mills, I did not know you at the time, but it's cool. It's just one of those things.
I thought While She Sleeps were the best act.
Yeah, While She Sleeps.
While She Sleeps might as well have headlined because they actually interacted with the audience a lot. They encouraged so many mosh pits. They encouraged, like, I think they encouraged a wall of death at one point. They encouraged people to get on other people's shoulders.
Yeah.
Like, Bullet for My Valentine didn't seem to have an energy to them.
For me, the reason
Bullet
why
for My Valentine had a
good
really
set list though, really good
set
set
list was good, but their stage presence was abysmal. I thought.
Okay, no, that's a fair point.
I thought
I enjoyed the gig, but that's because I guess you could say
it looked like the type of show, like it almost oozed like we're here to get paid. Like, just give us 90 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think.
I do like that album.
How much do you think Venom helped or hindered Bullet for My Valentine?
I really like Venom.
I think it's okay. I think it's decent.
It's not as good as the first three, but it's a return to form. And for me, if it followed Fever, I reckon it'd still be in arenas. I reckon Temper Temper generally was that bad.
The thing is, I reckon if Temper Temper was their debut, people would let it slide. Like, it's their
maybe, but I don't.
The things are like that. People
it's
let Ember to Inferno slide for Trivium.
They do, yes.
So I think if they did, I think they'd be willing to do the same for Bullet for My Valentine.
Okay, for me, the best that I've seen Bullet. I'll tell you what, they were actually really good at Download 2013.
I've heard that was good.
Yeah, they were really good, and it was that horrible tour for Temper Temper. Now, on that tour, the band played well. It was just having those songs in the set list, which were like fawns amongst a rows of great back catalogue hits from three stunning albums.
The thing is, like, when they played the Guild Tour, did they play anything from Temper Temper?
No. Why would they? They hate that album.
Exactly, yeah.
Was that even their idea, or was it record company? That's the question.
I think it's the same record company as the last one, so I don't think it was that much.
And also, the record sales. Okay, I don't want to go into a whole chart here. We're not Brit Awards for this week. But talking about popularity, their album Fever got to number 5 in the UK charts, and Temper Temper didn't even get in the top 10. It got to like 11 or 12.
This shows how much power music critics have, because like the critics slated Temper Temper.
Understandably so.
Like, in fairness, it's not as bad as everyone says it is, but it's not good.
By the way, Venom, the latest studio album, which came out last year, sold really well. It got to number 3 in the UK charts.
Isn't it their highest chart position?
Yes, which is really weird considering they're not playing arenas. They did 2 arena tours. Can I say this actually on the Temper Temper tour? I went to Wembley Arena for the British bands. It was Bullet for My Valentine, Asking Alexandria, and Young Guns. And let me tell you this, Asking Alexandria, this is when Danny Warsnob was still on vocals. They were supporting the album From Death to Destiny.
I don't know anything about Asking Alexandria, so I'll take your word for it.
And let's just say this, and I'm not the only guy who thinks this. And Bees obviously used to work for Metal Hammer Kerrang, Scuzz, and now That's Not Metal podcast. He was at that show. I didn't see him there or anything. He's not my friend, he's just a guy, I listen to a lot of his work. That gig, Asking Alexandria, totally destroyed Bullet for My Valentine.
I bet.
And there's a reason. I don't know if you know a lot about Danny Warsnob. He now fronts
We Are Harlot.
He's a very hair metal kind of vocalist. And okay, there was a lot of young people in the audience.
I bet.
And Young Guns obviously have a following themselves, and I think they're okay. But anyway, we're not here to talk about Young Guns.
No.
Asking Alexandria was supporting their biggest selling album to date.
Yeah.
Had a massive setup as if they were headlining, and the support from the audience was like they were the headliner.
And Bullet were supporting that piece of crap.
Yeah, and they had to come on after. No, Bullet came on after, and the atmosphere was still good, and Bullet was still good. But Asking are the band on the rise.
Yeah,
they were the band on the rise, supporting
happened.
a huge album. Supporting a huge album for them, and the crowd, big giant circle pit for a support band with Danny Warsnob singing his arse off, and they were. The set, I just remember thinking, how are Bullet going to follow this? And yeah, Bullet, to their credit, did a good job, but it wasn't the step up.
Same thing happened at the While She Sleeps gig.
Yeah, it's like roughly the same
While
thing.
She Sleeps was a support band, but they kicked Bullet's arse.
Yeah, I know.
In regards to actual performance, those of you who have heard my Biffy Clyro rant know how important I find engaging an audience.
Yes.
How important I find interacting with an audience. While She Sleeps did that so phenomenally well. And Bullet, again, I said it before, it's like they were there to get a paycheck. That's what
maybe you can tell that
the passion wasn't there.
Matt Tuck the bass player's been fired or he left.
Yeah,
They've replaced him with a guy from a band called Revoker, and I love Revoker. Their debut album was killer. But there's obviously Padge and there's Moose. Moose is the drummer.
Yeah.
You can tell that those guys are disappointed to be playing smaller venue. Also, they've actually announced a UK tour for November, December. They're playing Brixton Academy, which is still awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not Wembley Arena.
It's not like Wembley Arena like before. No. These are like before. During the Scream Aim Fire days,
Alexandra Palace.
They would have sold out Wembley Arena easily.
Yeah, but they played Alexandra Palace, which is basically an arena.
Yeah,
it's not quite Wembley because there's no seats. But that's when the next tour, when they headlined Wembley Arena, and I think sold it out on the Fever tour with Bring Me the Horizon and Atreyu supporting.
Yeah.
Like Matt Tuck was like, wow, we're here headlining arenas. And it wasn't just Wembley Arena, it was Cardiff and Birmingham and Manchester. And, they did the whole run, and Bullet, a lot of people were saying Bullet next download headliner. Bullet are going to be the next download headliner with the next album. Temper. Yeah, exactly.
I think so. It's a harsh... Sorry, we'll let Matanza go first.
Yeah, I was just going to say, actually, but I think maybe it would be better off if I just wait for you to get this out of the way.
Go ahead.
All right, yep. Yeah. It's a harsh thing, because every band releases a shit album.
Yeah.
Like,
you can't exactly...
You can't win them all.
No, but the
Trivium released The Crusade.
Yeah. However, this is the difference between the 80s and now.
Yeah.
In the 80s, you had an album a year. Or the 70s, which meant you could make a Duff album, and then the following year you can get your fans back. With Bullet, 3-year cycle.
Yeah, but the thing is though,
and in 3 years a lot can change. Music industry, fans. Some fans grow older and start having kids, and
this is my point. This is my point. When Metallica made Load and Reload, it took them 5-6 years to come back with what some people say is an even worse album.
However, they
weren't affected.
They toured the Black Album for about 3 years, though. 2-3 years, the Black Album tour.
Yeah.
And also, let's be honest, if you're going to make an album as massively successful as the Black Album, bands don't normally follow up a massive album quickly.
No.
Unless
your name is Slayer.
What's the limit, then, would you say, for making an album that's on the same status as, say, the Black Album, and then having to, give them a time limit to try and follow it up?
That's completely down to the band, I think.
I think the bands need to have more control in general of their release schedule.
Yeah.
I think record label pressure does nothing but make for either a worn out band or a shit album.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we hear about during the 90s the pressure from the label that Dream Theater had. They made arguably one of their worst albums, which is the Infinity record in 1997.
Yeah.
So record label pressure never, makes for something good.
Yeah.
Let the band be the band, and the fans will come because they can tell it's genuine.
Okay, I've got 2 points then. I'll get to my first thing, which is, whenabouts do you think it was actually the point where the music industry became, say, more industrial, to the point where it actually was expecting more stuff to be made, more stuff to be rushed through? What was the defining point over the past few decades where you think the music industry essentially became more or less what it is today?
I think the music industry was never not industrial purely because of the name of an industry.
I would say...
Well, yeah, I know, but don't you think that there was a time, though, where it really did put more emphasis on the fact it was meant to be an industry rather than an art circulation?
I think...
Overall, I'd say past decade, but you could go back further than that, though. I'd only say past decade only because the gaps between albums have genuinely been longer, but some bands like their side projects. There's so many There's always been side projects, but if you think about Bullet, him and the guy, Liam from Cancer Bats, have got Axe Wound. And they want to do this, but no, we want Bullet My Valentine album. Money.
Bullet for My Valentine is what makes that sweet dollar.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and it's a bit like System of a Down, got Scars on Broadway and stuff.
You're asking when did the music industry create this much pressure for a band? I think it's always been there, but it depends on how successful the band is. If it's your debut, it's much more risky, so the record label doesn't know they have a cash cow yet, so they don't milk it.
Yeah, because
if a band releases a debut album, say Slipknot releases a debut album, an album that big that exploded, then there's more pressure from the record label because they know your albums can get us millions of dollars. Make another one as soon as you can.
Yeah.
Once the record label have a taste of how successful a band can be, that's when it becomes this conveyor belt, a soulless process. Unless a band can fight it and fight it well, like Dream Theater did.
Yeah, because basically there are many people out there that really do say it's called the music industry. It really is meant to
business.
be, essentially a business, which is all about that. But I always say more or so, you're on about people that have just been put in charge of, trying to make a profit off, a bunch of artists out there. And you see, it's no surprise that people are against the idea of the music industry and just want to work outside of it by distributing all of their stuff, because that's the only way some big name acts, like Joan Jett, for example, even get their debut stuff published out there in the first place. And they have to send out demos to multiple people, get the full rejection slip, and then after that just move it out and pay for whatever they can with as little as they can. Heck, that's how Rocky got made.
Indeed. Have you guys ever heard of Pledge Music?
I have. Isn't it like Kickstarter for music?
You know The Answer? The Answer are a band who in 2009 to 2010 supported AC/DC on the Black Ice tour.
Nice.
Whoa.
That doesn't mean they're massive, because they're not. And they weren't massive then, they're not massive now. But since then, their popularity hasn't risen. It's kind of gone down a bit. And now they need Pledge Music to help them.
Do you know who's supporting Iron Maiden on their Book of Souls tour?
No idea.
The Raven Age.
The Raven Age I saw supporting Steve Harris' British Lion.
Because Steve Harris's son is in that band.
Okay, I can't see the Raven Age getting big.
No.
Prove me wrong, Raven Age. Prove me wrong.
Please. I love it when any decent band gets big. We don't think you are, but please, for the love of Christ, prove us wrong.
I went to the Iron Maiden gig in 2013, and the support band were... I can't even remember their name, but Bruce Forsyth's grandson is in that band. Hang on.
Brilliant.
I can't remember their name. That's... One of them, no, because Iron Maiden played two gigs at the O2 on the Seventh Son. What was the Made in England?
Made in
England tour. They played at Download.
Yep.
Then they played 2 gigs at the O2, and one of the support bands at the I've completely forgotten both their names. They'll come back to me later, I'm sure, and then I'll just briefly mention them.
Do you remember when we were talking about Bullet for My Valentine? Those were the days.
The second thing that I was just going to say, which I tried to initially, was how often do you often see support acts that genuinely are more worth going to see on a consistency basis than the people they are supporting?
I'll tell you what, do you know what we can actually...
I see that quite a lot, actually.
Going from what you've just said, if we're all right, we've covered Bullet enough as it is.
We have covered Bullet enough.
I reckon, talking of support bands, Bowling for Soup, a band I saw do a sellout UK tour in halls, are supporting a band called Steel Panther on their first full arena tour, and it got confirmed this week, and I can see ticket sales for that being quite strong. Matt, what are your views on this Steel Panther UK tour? You think it's going to be good?
I think if I was in Bullet for My Valentine, I'd be pissed off. Because great, I can't get into Wembley anymore, but this band that makes jokes about tits and dicks is headlining in Wembley Arena.
You know how I feel about Steel Panther, don't you?
Explain to our listeners.
Go on then.
I absolutely despise them.
What?
I know that they are a joke band, I know, but I don't take that sort of stuff seriously. If they're just going to go
You're not meant to take it seriously.
I know, I don't even take them seriously as comedians. That is how low I think.
Why?
Why not?
Because, saying a bunch of rape jokes or crude sexual innuendos constantly is considered bad comedy by itself.
The thing is, it's
and putting a rock track behind that doesn't matter. It still makes it a shit joke.
It's a parody. It's
a parody of the 80s.
It's parodies of 80s hair metal, which was very fueled by sex.
And also,
it's just taking what the 80s hair metal bands did and just exaggerating it.
And also what they're doing is working.
You know their song "Death to All But Metal."
Great song, man.
Classic.
Yeah, maybe in your eyes.
Classic in the making.
Oh my
Matt,
God.
carry on.
It is, man.
Carry on, Matt.
I may.
Yep.
Croeso Carlawenta. This is my hometown, and I can actually say what goes here in my jurisdiction. And I say, Steel Panther are one band that if they ever did a railway tour here, I would not do it. I would say, you can go if you like, but I will not go and watch a bunch of guys make a bunch of things that they're not even serious about, and just, crude sexual innuendos are just, repeating that stuff over and over is bad
But
comedy.
they do it well, though.
They do it well. Because
We understand you're not a fan, and we can understand why. There's lots
because
of
whether you like it or
females.
not, that hair metal is fueled by sex.
Yeah, it is.
So
Listen to
that's
Motley
not
Crue
It,
and
it,
Kiss.
sex
I
is
Love
such an
Gun.
omnipresent thing.
I know it's an omnipresent
So
thing.
taking that and making it even less subtle and putting it in the forefront, I think it is ingenious
And also,
because it's hilarious.
And also, it's a complete joke because they're like, before we came off stage, we snorted a line and we drive your car home. We'll snort. Like, they're not actually doing that, and that's the funny thing. They make all these things, but they're
the lead
not
singer's
actually
married.
Yes,
I
and
know.
also they're wearing wigs. 3 of the 4 members wear wigs.
And they were supported by the Iron Maidens, which features Courtney Cox Arquette from one of their group acts. But basically, it's all beside the point. Death to All But Metal is a song that sounds so crude and so elitist that
It's a
genuinely
piss take of that elitism.
I know, but it isn't good enough to make it to my comedic ear. It doesn't make me laugh,
No, but it's
and
a
the
tune.
image doesn't work.
Comedy is so subjective.
Yes,
So
comedy is subjective. This is my stance on it.
This is just something that we're going to have to
By the way,
accept.
also,
You do not find it funny.
regardless of what you think about, they are brilliant musicians. They are a great band.
I can admit that on the same basis that I can admit Dave Mustaine is a great musician. I still don't have to like the bastard.
No,
Jesus Christ, man! Take a chill pill. It's okay. you don't have to see Steel Panther. It's fine. Just relax.
Can I just clarify something?
Thank you,
I have a
Mills.
ticket. I bought my ticket on Wednesday whilst in my professional writing lecture.
Good man.
Yes, I was like this. Steel Panther.
But the thing is,
Wembley.
though, we talked about death to all but metal. But I think that song is actually more intelligent than we give it credit for, because it musically it contains so many references to other songs. There's a riff from Seek and Destroy in that song.
There is.
Like after the chorus, that da 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 da. That's exactly the same as to the note to Seek and Destroy.
Also, the first album, the song "Hey Hey," the beginning of "Fuck All Night Party All Day" is living on a prayer.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest.
I think being able to take that and make it under the radar does take talent.
The Burden of Being Wonderful from the third album sounds
Yeah.
like Hysteria by Def
No,
Leppard.
you see,
Exactly,
guys,
man.
I'll admit this much. That song, up until I saw the video for it, which didn't do anything for me,
I've not seen the video for it.
I actually was thinking, yeah, there is something that I can take seriously about them at long last.
You don't want to take them seriously,
No,
man.
I mean, that actually does have a message that is a lot more serious than most of their lyrics in most of their songs.
By the way,
I think you're looking for the wrong things then.
No. You see, I am that kind of guy. I am that kind of artist. And if you don't like it, Mills, then fair play. You've obviously got your appeal found in Steel Panther, as do you, Mr. DuPont, but I see no appeal for myself.
can I ask a question? Have you seen clips of them live?
Your
opinion may change.
They kill it live.
I have seen them doing a couple of things with the Iron Maidens, as I have just said.
Watch them live at Download. In
Yeah,
front of that
I
many
was
people.
there in person, calling
in
it.
2012. I was there in 2014 when they get bigger every tour, every album.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Wembley Arena. I was at their first Wembley Arena headline because they supported ZZ Top, they supported Motley Crue and Def Leppard in 2011 on Balls Out, and yeah, that's their second album. Just to clarify.
That's
And
yeah. We're not just dropping random curses.
No, that's
But
cool.
either way, we've got 3 lads here. 2 of them are called Matt. They have different opinions, and then 2 other lads, one of them called Matt, has a different opinion to this Matt on Steel Panther.
Thank you. You've just completely confused every listener.
No, I haven't.
You have.
No, I've done the math.
It's fine. Anyway, what I was talking about was on their 2015 UK headline show at Wembley Arena with Skin Dread and the Lounge Kitten supporting was a phenomenal evening. Completely sold out, and all three bands completely killed it.
Yep.
And Steel Panther looked at home in an arena. Steel Panther can play any stage and make it work.
They were busking in London the other day.
Also, he went around with a megaphone telling people to get tickets for their tour.
Yeah.
And people don't know who they are, and that's funny because they're an arena act, but they're not. That's the thing. They're big. Do you know?
They're an arena act, but they're not part of the mainstream.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
Tenacious D. People know who they are if they're not into rock music. Steel Panther,
probably the most famous comedy rock band.
Yes,
Yeah.
Steel Panther. The only people who know them are rock fans.
Yeah.
What I mean is, I told my Let's Act Society that I've got Steel Panther tickets.
They
and
had no idea.
No one knew who they were, which is fair enough. But at the same time, at least they're a band that, even though they're really popular, you could say, yeah, I like Steel Panther. I've got a Steel Panther shirt. I was wearing it the other day. And the reason why I like them is because they have got absolute tunes, great live band, funny. Continue. They have made 3 albums that have worked, and until they make a shit album, they will continue to get bigger, and they may even headline Download one day against the odds.
They might do. They might do.
How long have they even been going around?
They used to be called Metal School, but their debut album came out in 2009 and exploded. And their Balls Out album charted in the UK top 40. They then they did a support tour for Motley Crue and Def Leppard, then got really high on the bill at Download when me and Matt were at, and then after that,
weren't they on after Tenacious D?
No, they're on before them.
Oh, okay.
And they blew them off stage.
All right, I'll shut up.
And with and what I was going to say, and then they did the headline tour, which included a sellout Southampton Guildhall, and they were awesome.
I hate myself for missing that.
I went to that, and believe it or not, guess what? The same evening, in Portsmouth, you had Motorhead and Anthrax. And
why did I go to either of those?
I chose Steel Panther, correct decision.
Good man.
However, I did go to the Bournemouth Motorhead and Anthrax show where Anthrax blew Motorhead off stage. My opinion, and everyone else's opinion.
Right.
But who knows? My opinion about them may become a lot more lenient in the future because
possibly.
I am getting very old very fast.
By the way, have you heard All You Can Eat? Sorry to interrupt.
I think we're beating a dead horse here. I think we've made our point.
No. However, we will say this, right? You can admit that from what you've heard, you don't like. But if I lend you an album and you potentially, I'm not saying buy a ticket to go to the arena tour because I'm going. Mills, I've got my ticket. Mills might be.
I might be interviewing them,
you might be interviewing them.
No promises yet.
But are you going to book a ticket if you don't get the opportunity?
Well, I don't know because by the time they get back to me, they probably would have sold out.
Actually, just finishing this off, I haven't confirmed. Bowling for Soup are supporting.
Yes,
as are Buck Cherry.
Yep.
Now, Buck Cherry are not a joke band. Neither are Bowling for Soup. Bowling for Soup, though, are jokey.
Yes.
And for that reason, it works. I don't know what Jarrett and the other guys from Bowling for Soup will think of them being a support band for a novelty act. But if they're getting paid, they might not care.
You get so much flack for calling Steel Panther a novelty. Like, I have to disagree.
Yeah.
Oh great! I'm the Lone Ranger in this argument. Great.
You are not the Lone
but it's
Ranger.
A discussion,
you are the lowly amoeba.
I've enjoyed this discussion, even if we might not agree. That's why that's why I enjoy it.
I don't think they're a novelty. I wouldn't put them in the same pile as Baby Metal. But that we've already talked about.
Would you call Tenacious D a novelty?
No, not at all.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I think Tenacious D and Steel Panther, they make funny music, but they make it seriously. You can tell they have a great passion for the joke music they make.
Of course. Yeah. You could say that about Alestorm even, because they're a pirate band.
Yeah.
Should that be our next topic, this tour?
Yeah, the Sabaton Alestorm show.
Yes, Monday night, tomorrow night.
Monday night, Southampton Guildhall.
Yes.
The 3 of us are going to go and see Sabaton, Alestorm and Bloodbound.
Yeah, Bloodbound I've yet to listen to.
I've not listened to Bloodbound. I think I've listened to one of their songs and I thought it was very Sabaton.
I reckon it's going to be one of the best nights of our first years as Fresh. I know it's got nothing to do with uni, but I'm just on about 2015 to 16 as a year. It could be one of the highlight nights.
It could be. Well, it's going to be amazing for me either way, considering I'm interviewing Joachim Bloden from Sabaton. So
excellent. What time is your interview?
It is at 4:45 in the afternoon.
Is that at the Guildhall itself?
That is at the Guildhall. I need to show up at 4:45 and give their manager a ring and be like, "Hi, I'm here."
Yes, I think they've got the billing right. Sabaton do deserve to be on last.
Oh God, yeah.
What's it? Alestorm. What was it? Their support. Believe it or not, Alestorm have successfully made four pirate albums without running out of lyrics for songs.
Of course.
Which is fair play to them. I did think that their latest album was their weakest, but
I must admit, I think Drink is probably the best song.
No, Drink's phenomenal.
Drink is a
But
great
Back
song.
Through Time
Yeah.
and Captain Morgan's Revenge, much better, in my opinion, than that album. And
Fair enough.
the middle album, Black Sails at Midnight, was also good. But if you listen to Captain Morgan's Revenge, the debut album, start to finish, solid album.
Yeah.
And the song Captain Morgan's Revenge in itself is a true anthem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
we'll talk about
drink to
Alestorm.
that every night.
Yeah, we'll talk about Alestorm first, then go on to Sabaton. So Matanza, you like Alestorm? Explain why.
Well, let's put it this way. I was born here in Hampshire and I was raised for most of my life in the West Country. I've been exposed to an awful lot of sea-based culture, so yeah. I've just become a real big pirate fan throughout my whole life. I love pirates, I love the theme for it, and I love sea shanties, folk music, and everything within the rock spectrum. So Alestorm, perfect blend of that. Plus my favourite of all booze types is Captain Morgan.
Do you find them funny?
Yeah, I find them funny and I can take them seriously at the same time. Depends on what my mood is.
Fair enough.
And you've seen live footage?
Yeah.
And you like what you see?
Yes, I have, and I salute the pirate flag every time I see them on stage.
Mills, you and your history of Alestorm.
My history of Alestorm is a very short history. I saw them live at Sonosphere 2014.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't there. I was in Hyde Park.
It was awesome.
Yeah, you enjoyed it?
Yeah,
It was probably
it-
half an hour short and sweet set on the second stage, wasn't
I
it?
can't remember the exact time, but it wasn't overly long. I think it was
Okay.
about 45 minutes. And yeah, they were. I'd never heard of them before. I thought it was going to be Hailstorm.
Oh, really?
The Lizzie.
People keep making that mistake.
The
It's
Lizzie
irritating.
Hale-
Dropping, yeah.
The Lizzie Hale fronted
Yeah, you can have
rock band.
You can be so certain that only a Cockney would be the person to make that mistake because of all the constant age
People have
dropping.
made that mistake at uni. I said I'm
I
seeing...
bet.
No, I've told people that I'm going to see Alestorm, the pirate band, and people say Hailstorm, and I go, no, I just said the pirate band.
Well,
If it-
Hailstorm, yeah.
Well, to be fair, you are from closer to London than either of us, so you're probably more likely to get people questioning that than say me or
Another
Matt.
thing, in my opinion, I know that they're nothing to do with each other, but I much prefer Alestorm to Hailstorm because what Alestorm do, not many other people do, and Hailstorm
Same
makes some
here.
quite
No.
generic music.
It's apples and oranges. You can't compare them.
No, but it's just,
I can't.
I think Alestorm should be bigger than Hailstorm.
Yeah,
I think.
I think they all deserve any success they can find.
I know
Yeah.
they're not comparable, but at the same time, I agree with you.
Yes,
Mr.
no,
Bond,
the
because yeah.
So you know they're not comparable, but you're going to compare them anyway.
No,
Well, no, I mean in terms of what they
He's
do
got
in
a
the
point.
market compared to Hailstorm.
Yeah.
And this is the only point
Yeah.
where comparison even needs to be made at all, point blank. You need to say Hailstorm for their particular mode of thought, they are very generic for what it is they
yeah,
do fall
but
into.
it's true. What Hailstorm have done has been done before.
Yeah.
Their sound
And
the kind of
that's not-
radio-friendly songs.
Yeah, that isn't a criticism whatsoever. It's just saying that, there's no progression, whereas Alestorm,
Have their own thing.
They have
their own world.
They have their own thing.
They started a subgenre.
yeah.
Yeah, they might not have done it, but I don't know. I don't know the backstory, the history of pirate metal.
Yeah, but actually, I don't know the history of it either, but all I can say is it's the right sort of thing for someone that grew up all of his life in the Wessex region over here and then down at the other end in Devon. And yeah, they've got a Scottish front man. It's a very big win-win situation.
I've met him a couple of times. I've had some photos with him. If you want to find them, go on my Facebook.
Oh, all right.
You know what I really do want? I really want to get myself like a proper tricorn hat just so I could wear it, and then a typical old pirate uniform from the time where the red coats were all around, because that would just be the perfect get-up for me at that gig.
Cool.
I'll tell you what, another thing, but I'm just finishing off with Alestorm before we go on to Sabaton.
Yeah.
One brilliant thing about Alestorm, their shows, the atmosphere is phenomenal. People go dressed up for the occasion as pirates with lots of alcohol, such as rum. And they do also bring blow-up swords, pirate flags, crowd surfing as if they're on the seven seas. You feel like you are in the Pirates of the Caribbean. It's basically, this is the last time I mentioned Steel Panther, but at least with Steel Panther, the fans go dressed up as hair metalers, as if it's an occasion.
I'll tell you what then. You guys can both go to Sabaton and Alestorm dressed as a pirate. I'm going to go in a fucking tank.
Okay.
Dressed as Joachim Bloden.
I'll tell you what, yeah, that leads us on to Sabaton. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm gonna go dressed in a tank, Dressed in a tank? What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go dressed.
He's gonna go dressed as XYZ Dragon Cannon, which means he needs a life-size robot suit that is basically a walking tank.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go dressed as Joachim in a tank. Because
Are you actually, or is this a joke?
No, of course I'm fucking not.
There might be someone at the gig dressed.
Moving
like
on. You continue.
If I had the budget to afford his weird iron vest, I'm sure I would go as Joachim. I would shave my head into a mohawk.
Continue, Mills.
But yes, Sabaton, I fucking love them. I can't remember how I got into them. I can't remember how. I think I was just farting around on YouTube, and I think I just found them. Right. Oh no, because they're a part of a power metal playlist on YouTube. I was listening to like Dragon Force or something, or Nightwish.
Okay.
And like the Sabaton came up, I gave them a listen, and yeah, I loved it. That was probably about 3 or 4 years ago now.
I saw them at Download 2014. Have you seen them yet?
I have not seen them live, and it eats me up inside.
It's fine.
Have you interviewed one of them yet?
I'm sorry, I haven't. No. But yeah, let's just say Primo Victoria debut album, great album. Great
of course.
To Hell and Back is one of the newer songs.
Yeah, To Hell and Back is on Heroes, which is great. Carolus Rex is amazing. I think one day we should do a list, like our top 5 future classics.
Do you know what we could do in the future? Top 5 singles from a band, not singles, songs from a band we like.
Yeah.
Like for instance,
but I think
Sabbath, so on and so forth.
If we ended up doing that top 5 future classics, Carolus Rex will end up on there.
Of course.
Because that is an amazing album from beginning to end.
Another thing, Sabaton are really happy. When they're on stage, they look really happy, enjoying what they do.
I know a lot of people have a problem with that because they talk about World War II. But I'm like, just get a fucking sense of humour.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You know, like a lot of people are like, oh, you can't sing about Auschwitz when you've got sing-along power metal songs. I'm like, it fucking happened. Like, don't, you know.
Yeah, and stunning live band, I have to say.
Oh, of course. They got a brilliant, tons of pyro. Like, the drummer shows up in a tank.
Yes.
Like, you know, like I will tomorrow night.
Matanta, do you want to talk about your Polish Woodstock YouTube video you liked?
I love that show, the Polish Woodstock show. Fucking amazing.
Yeah. Polish Woodstock, that particular live video of Primo Victoria, that is quite honestly my favourite live performance of Sabaton that I've actually seen from all the time that I spent binging them on YouTube, because, well, when you compare different variations of live performances, there's always a song performed in a certain way at a certain venue that you prefer to how it would have been done at others. That's the beauty of it. It's like going to the theatre, innit?
And that wall of death.
Yeah.
If there's a wall of death like that tomorrow, I'm jumping in.
Oh god.
That wall of death.
One of us will die.
One of us will die, but it will be a very fun way to go.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. Yeah, at least one of us is going to die. It'll be very awkward if 2 of us die, and it's just going to be like Matanza hosting the podcast by himself.
To be fair, I could probably get away with that.
It's fine.
Like Alice Cooper, I do spend most of my time talking to myself.
Just a 2-hour monologue.
Yeah, you name it. Matanza doing his poetry that he does so successful. But I think, but yeah.
I am saluting myself now.
All right, but I think with Sabaton, their fans will continue to grow.
Oh, of course they will.
You know, like what I mean is, I think Sabaton.
They deserve it.
Yeah, it's great that they're doing a co-headline, but I think Sabaton next tour won't be doing a co-headline. They will be headlining UK halls by themselves without.
They're already massive in Europe.
Yes, they
are. They headlined that Polish Woodstock. Blew everyone away.
And they're headlining Swedish Woodstock. No, Sweden Rock.
Sweden Rock Festival.
Yeah, alongside Queen and Adam Lambert.
Yeah, they're massive in Europe. They're not as big in the UK
Same
and the
with
US.
Volbeat headliners at other
What do you
festivals.
think it is, very quickly, that separates like the general European taste to the UK specific metal taste?
Because I think where Sabaton talk about the European effects of World War II.
Yeah.
I think that's something the European fans cling to more than the US or the UK ones. That's just my theory.
Yeah, to be fair, we do have a very big islands are different mentality over here.
Yeah, we're quite separated from mainland Europe, both geographically and ideologically.
The first time I ever heard of Sabaton was in 2000. It was either 06 or 08. They were supporting Dragon Force on
Yes, they've done that a few times.
Apparently, they blew them off stage.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Surprise you. But yeah, so
I'd take Sabaton over Dragon Force any day of the week.
Same. To be honest, they're actually now bigger than Dragon Force.
I'd say
ticket
so.
sales much bigger.
I'd say so.
Dragon Force have obviously declined in popularity.
I think Dragon Force should support Sabaton now, if that would happen.
Yeah. But anyway,
it is a testament to hard work.
Oh, for sure.
That can change.
We were talking about Bring Me and Bullet, how Bullet could be supporting Bring Me, because Bring Me are playing. So I'm not going to go into a full-on Bring Me the Horizon chat, but
please don't, otherwise I will leave.
Bring Me the Horizon are headlining 2 shows at the O2 in London, which is crazy, but it's happening. And Bullet for My Valentine could well be the support act. They probably won't, but they could be. When before it was reversed, and with Dragon Force and Sabaton, that hasn't happened, but it could in the future.
I think if it were to happen now, if that tour were to happen now, Sabaton would be the headliner.
But anyway,
at the very best, it would be a co-headline tour.
Agreed. Bloodbound, you guys know much about them?
Not really.
Not really. I've heard one of their songs.
Really.
I thought it was alright. I thought it was pretty generic power metal.
Fair enough, man. By the way, I've seen Sabaton once. Just finish. Unless you guys have anything else to say. With Alestorm, I've seen them. I saw them at the 1865 last year, which was a sold-out show.
They're at the 1865?
Yeah.
I thought they'd be much bigger.
That was literally about a year ago.
So they've come really far.
1865?
It's a venue in Southampton, which is like...
it's an amazing venue. I was there the other day to watch Baroness, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
No, sorry, that was the engine room.
Yeah, 1865, you know the venue anyway.
I saw Fozzy there.
Yeah, Fozzy, exactly.
Baroness were at the engine rooms, by the way, just to clarify.
I was at a different gig that night, but I'll try and remember where I was later on. But yeah, I saw them at the Soul Cellar in 2012.
Fozzy?
No, Alestorm.
Oh, okay.
Alestorm sold out the Soul Cellar, and do you remember the Soul Cellar? The floor was like...
Yeah, man.
Upstairs venue, and...
Directly opposite the Guildhall, yeah.
Yeah, let's just say that gig was dangerous. The floor was wobbling like we were on the Seven Seas themselves.
Brilliant. So it adds to the aesthetic.
I saw them at Sonosphere 2011.
Yep.
Well, and Back Through Time wasn't even out then. Actually, or was it? I can't remember. But let's just say they had like a half an hour slot in the Bohemia tent, and it was amazing. I've seen them, and I saw them supporting Dragon Force at Portsmouth Pyramids.
Good God, you have a history with them.
Yeah, I've seen Alestorm 4 times, gonna be 5, and they've got bigger every tour. And also, it seems like they play on stage drunk half the time.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
But anyway, I'm moving on.
Yeah,
And for that tour...
lyrically, that is a very strong implication.
Yes, actually, we were talking about earlier how Steel Panther will continue to get bigger until they make a shit live album and continue not to be funny live. With Alestorm, when is their success going to stop?
Hopefully never.
No, hopefully never.
Hopefully the same with Steel Panther.
Yeah, as writers, because the 3 of us are writers.
Yeah.
Alestorm could get writer's block.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Only because how many times can you say Rum, Walk the Planks? And, they've done it for 4 albums well, but can they make it to 6, 7?
Sabaton have been talking about World War II for 7 albums.
No, but there's more you can cover, I feel.
Maybe they could do some stuff about Somalian pirates.
That would not be a fun album.
No, it wouldn't be, but it could be something about combating against them in a typical... traditional buccaneer
They wouldn't do that because it gets rid of the old school feel.
I know what you're thinking.
It gets rid of the whole happy-go-lucky Disney pirate aesthetic they've got going on.
Nowhere near Disney level.
No, Alestorm should make the soundtrack for the next Pirates of the Caribbean film.
The only good thing about that film.
Yes, and become a household name. However, that would be sucks for us because we like Alestorm being our band. We don't want them to become.
I like any band being my band.
I don't care what their size and what their status is. I just want a band that I can resonate something with. Yeah, and this band will always hold a dear place in my heart because I am, as I have always put on my CV, a professional swashbuckler.
Well, I've really enjoyed
you like them almost as much as you love Steel Panther and Megadeth.
Yeah.
I like them way
By the way, you guys.
Then I hate those two.
I know.
I'm done with this. You guys want to add anything before tomorrow night's gig?
Nope.
And look excited because I am.
Of course I'm excited. I tell you what, go on the National Student, my website, the National Student. Go on there about Wednesday or Thursday. Find my interview with Joachim because I guarantee you it's going to be fucking amazing because I love that guy.
Okay, next, shall we talk?
Very, very quickly, I'll just add my bit. I am looking forward to seeing them, especially down in Southampton. It's the ideal setting because it's a seaport, and I am gonna be in heaven.
Fair point, man. Okay, talking about gigs.
They're not playing on the docks.
I know, but they're playing in a seaport.
No, but they might have
town.
travelled on a pirate ship to get here. You never know.
I don't think they take the gimmick that seriously.
Southampton is simply known by city standards as a seaport.
Yeah, it is called Sea City, so we'll let you off. Anyway, DuPont, lead us into the next discussion.
Okay, as we talk about gig reviews, you went to a gig, Baroness, at the Engine Rooms. What day of the week was that?
That was on Wednesday.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it. It was Baroness at the Engine Rooms, not the 1865. On Wednesday night, Wednesday the 24th of February, as we go. And it was Baroness and an Irish band called No Spill Blood. We'll talk about No Spill Blood first. Have either of you guys heard of No Spill Blood?
No.
No, and I am annoyed because I am Irish.
Brilliant. So it's a band that everyone here and everyone listening should go and check out.
Yeah.
Their lineup is very strange. It's 3 musicians form the band. One of them is a drummer. One of them is the keyboardist. One of them is the bassist and vocalist. No lead guitar parts. It's all rhythm based. The bass riffs they can crank out are amazing. Like the mid-paced, the bass and the drums and the keyboard match together so well. They shake the venue to the ground.
The thing is, you can make guitar sounds on a keyboard.
Yeah, they don't though.
Okay.
They make the keyboard sound more like the bass than they do.
I'll got you.
So it's
very bassy.
They treat the bass guitar like a lead guitar,
Okay.
and they treat the keyboard like the bass guitar.
Oh, well, I know you might not have heard, but my old work colleague and musician friend Grant Sharkey played in a double bass band with no guitar called Toupee.
Yeah.
But anyway, going back, that has nothing to do with this. It's just the only experience when I've seen a live band when that's happened. But because I wasn't at that gig and Mills was, carry on.
Yes, there's not much to say really. It was amazing from start to finish.
Was there vocals?
Yes, there was vocals.
Okay.
Yeah, the bassist is also the vocalist.
Did you enjoy it?
I loved it.
Okay.
I wrote a review on National Student. Go and read it. Why not? Give me money. So I wrote a review of it on the National Student, and I gave them 4 stars out of 5.
Okay, so you'd see them again if they did their own UK headline tour.
Of course. If they come back to,
That's
don't get me. I wouldn't travel to London to see them.
That's a good point actually. The good thing about living in Southampton is we get so many bands here that you know if you like them enough to go to London for say Matt with Alter Bridge, for instance.
Of course. I would go to fucking Scotland for Alter Bridge, right?
Yep, you name it.
But how far up Scotland?
I would go to the very top of Scotland. I would go
all the way to Orkney.
I would venture into Arctic territory.
So you would technically go past the Highlands into Orkney and even further up to the Shetland Islands. That's how badly you want to see them.
Yep.
Me and my brother said in 2010 when Airborne were supporting No Guts, No Glory and we saw them at Portsmouth Guildhall. After that gig, me and my brother were so exhausted and so hyped that we were like, I'd go to fucking Australia to see Airborne. Why not? I was a bigger Airborne fan then than I was now. But anyway, carry on talking about Baroness themselves.
Yeah, we'll move on to Baroness themselves. I gave them the full 5 stars. Baroness, perfect from beginning to end. Their latest album, Purple. If you guys remember,
Is it just called Purple?
Yeah, it's just called Purple.
Right. This is just what I think. I don't know enough about Baroness to comment. I haven't heard this album, but there's a few really famous rock albums already called Purple that exist.
Yes.
For instance, you could even say the latest Whitesnake album, even though we don't like it. Also, Purple Stone Temple Pilots, which was a chart-topping album in the 90s, and obviously Prince, Purple Rain.
Well, Baroness, they base all of their albums off of colours.
Okay.
Their first album was called Red. Their second album was called Blue. Their third album was called Yellow and Green.
Right. Obviously Taylor Swift's got an album called Red. I know.
We do not mention her here.
Okay.
That name is blasphemous. We have to do the Harry Potter and call her She Who Must Not Be
By
Named.
the way, on That's Not Metal, the podcast the other day, they were talking about the Brit Awards, and they said this: Adele can sing. Enough said.
Yeah, done. That's all you need to know.
May well be able to sing, but
Can we talk about fucking Baroness?
Okay, Baroness.
Can we talk about good music?
Yes.
Right. So yeah, Baroness get the full 5 stars. They played their latest album, Purple. Who, if you actually listened a few weeks ago to my top 5 favorite albums of all time, you would know that Purple is my second favorite album of all time. and they played it in its entirety. So I was a happy bunny.
Of course, as you would be.
Oh yeah, I was elated. I knew all the words. I was right at the front. I was shouting at them. Like I loved it. Loved listening to it. Again, if you're a fan of their latest 2 albums, Yellow and Green and Purple, you're gonna love the set. If you prefer their first 2 albums, Red and Blue, probably not as much. They only play 3 songs in total from Red and Blue, and the rest is all Yellow and Green and Purple. Which I'm perfectly happy with because I love all Baroness. Like I don't discriminate. Baroness are absolutely amazing, and yeah, they were the last UK tour they did was in 2012, and they were meant to come to Southampton on that tour, and they didn't because on the way, their bus crashed, several severe injuries, and they had to cancel the rest of the tour, and they had to go to hospital.
That's quite.
And that was on the way to Southampton.
That could be slightly career-threatening when you're on a tour.
Yeah.
You're getting an audience, you know.
Yeah, half the band left very shortly afterwards.
What left? You mean what left the band? Period.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So yeah, they were on their way to Southampton, and they just crashed their bus. So when they started their tour in Southampton, it was a very bittersweet thing. You could tell they were very genuinely happy to finally make it. Like they were all smiles that entire gig. They really engaged with the crowd very well. They worked the crowd amazingly. The crowd was so into it because this was a gig 4 years in the making. Everyone was into it. It was an amazing night. The atmosphere was amazing. Just such amazing interaction.
Busy?
I think so. Yeah, it was very. I think it sold out. Possibly. I don't know.
And where did they play London?
Coco.
That's a good venue.
Yeah, they're playing on the 1st of March. So if you're local to London and you want to check out Baroness, 1st of March, Coco, go and check them out. I can't recommend it enough. That's me done.
By the way, it seems like you had a great evening. Baroness.
Best gig I've been to since Stylosis last year.
Really? So your gig of the year for 2016 so far?
Bearing in mind it's like one of 2 gigs I've been to this year so far.
Excellent. By the way, I've just thought of the 2 bands who supported Iron Maiden. Just going back to my point earlier, so I don't have to mention it in a later episode. One of them is called Zico Chain.
Never heard of them.
They opened for Maiden on the Sunday at the O2. And on the Saturday at the O2, which is the band where Bruce Forsyth's grandson is the vocalist, they are called Voodoo 6.
Voodoo 6?
Yes.
The lead singer of Voodoo 6 is Bruce Forsyth. Oh my god! So I did not know that!
Yeah, so do you know
I love how high-pitched your voice goes at times.
Yeah, it's complete opposite to yours, isn't it?
This is what happened at the O2. At the O2.
James Earl Jones meets Michael Jackson.
Yes, at the O2 on the Saturday, right, Voodoo 6 was supporting, and Bruce Forsyth was in the audience, and Iron Maiden at the O2. The band had no idea, and then the following night when they returned, when Zico Chain was supporting, when Bruce Dickinson came on stage, he goes, I found out late last night that Bruce Forsyth was at our gig. He goes, nice to see you.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant, man.
And it's really funny. And also, the lead, I've actually seen Voodoo 6. I saw them headlining the Joiners once. I'm not a fan, but I like one of the support bands that night called Santa Cruz.
Do they...
He does this. Their lead singer claps. He stands and he goes like that with the audience.
You look like you're doing a weird chimpanzee impression when you do that.
No, but that's what he looks like.
Okay.
He does this silly clapping thing.
Yeah.
So
listeners at home, imagine a clapping chimpanzee, and you'll have exactly what Mr. DuPont just did.
Squatting on its hind legs.
Squatting and clapping like he's very happy with the shit he just took.
That's it. But anyway, moving on now, because you were talking about because it's fine.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Delayed reaction.
It's fine. Talking about like possibly sold out gig, Baroness gig you went to.
Yeah.
I have booked tickets for probably one of the fastest selling gigs, well, probably the fastest selling gig of the year.
Of all time.
Yeah, one of them. I need to thank my mum. When I was at work on Thursday, she got me a standing ticket for Bruce Springsteen, the E Street Band at Wembley Stadium. And guess what? The whole venue sold out.
In an hour.
In an hour. Yep, whole of Wembley Stadium gone. And if you go on secondary ticket websites, tickets like 200 quid plus. And they also sold, Springsteen, the E Street Band also sold out. Ricoh Arena Coventry, they've sold that out. And there are still tickets available for Etihad in Manchester and Hampden Park, Scotland. And that's the day after AC/DC. So guess what? I'll be seeing AC/DC at the Olympic Stadium on the Saturday, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band at Wembley Stadium on the Sunday. Both tickets, everyone wants to go to. Both gigs sold out immediately. I spent a lot of money, but it's worth it.
Brilliant, then.
And do you know what else is brilliant? I can actually relate Bruce Springsteen to Baroness here. Baroness played Purple in its entirety.
Yes.
Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band will be playing The River, 20-song album, classic from 1980, start to finish, and I'm going to do absolutely everything I can with my friend Chris to be Barrier, because that'll be like a 3.5-hour masterpiece of stadium rock. I am so excited. It's the gig I'm most excited about seeing this year. I cannot wait.
I think the one I'm most excited for this year, potentially, it's either Download France or Bloodstock.
Nice one, man.
I don't know which I'm more excited for.
Another thing, so Springsteen tickets. Also, do you want to? I'll tell you what. Let's quickly talk about Wilson, or not quickly. You can take your time on Wilson.
Yeah, well, it's not very long. I've talked about Wilson so many times on this goddamn RockCast.
That's fine.
Because they just keep being relevant to me.
No, it's that time of year.
I fucking love Wilson so much. Like, the second week I did this, I did my top 5 favourite bands of all time. If I did that list now, Wilson would be on it.
Okay.
That's how much I love these guys. They've helped me out so much. Salt of the earth. I love them all. And yeah, the reason I want to talk about them again, this is probably the last time I'll do it for a while. The reason I want to talk about them again is because I'm interviewing them again on Thursday. Because they're doing a show on the 3rd of March at the Southampton Joiners.
On the Thursday, right?
On this upcoming Thursday.
Okay.
So this cast might be out by then, maybe not. Thursday, 3rd of March, Southampton Joiners, the last show of their tour. And I found out through their PR manager that they knew I was going to see them at the Joiners, because I told the manager. Because I asked to do a live review. So they know I'm going and they know I'm doing a live review. So they personally requested after my last interview with them that we do it again in person, which I thought I was really honoured by.
Yeah, you're
that.
humbled.
That was really lovely to hear that they wanted to do it again. They said, let's just do something. Let's just do some silly shit this time round. Just an excuse to hang out. So what I've decided to do, I've not run this past them yet, but I've written it all out. What we're going to do, because it's their last show, we're going to do a TripAdvisor style review of the UK.
Nice.
So I've written out a list of questions: best city, worst city, favourite show, least favourite show, craziest fans, how shit's the weather.
City that didn't come on the radar but may need to come up.
Possibly. Yeah, that might be a bit too serious.
Well,
no. How shit the roadworks are, how crap the roundabouts are, how crap the weather was, if they like tea, just stupid shit like that. So I'm really looking forward to that. I might be able to give you the gory details next week, and then I will shut up about Wilson forever.
No, it's fine. You will be reviewing the gig next week as well.
Of course I will. This will all be up on the National Student. Go and read my stuff on the National Student, people.
I have a question for Matanza. Next weekend, will you be around to record? I know I shouldn't really be asking this on record, but I am anyway.
It's too late now. Go for it.
Tell me
some behind the scenes action.
Tell me what the date is going to be come this time next week.
I have to do maths now.
No, today's day. What is it?
Today is the 28th.
Okay then. And how many? Yeah. So tomorrow's going to be. Am I getting this right? Is tomorrow going to be the 29th or the 1st?
29th.
Yeah, so I am not going to be here next week because I'm actually in Cardiff.
Okay, you guys, me and Mills are doing it.
We're flying solo again.
Okay, you two are going to be a duo, and
Yep.
I'm going to be in Cardiff for Comic-Con, but I will bring back some stuff about the rock culture to discuss in its relevance and entirety.
Much like you did with Berlin.
And
Indeed.
Southampton, because we're going to be there tomorrow, and we should all pretty much take notes on that.
We're going to review the gig, but then when you get back, you can have your say. But anyway, moving on.
Yes.
Friday night, Glastonbury have announced their headliner. Muse, good booking in my opinion.
I love it. I love Muse.
Okay, have you yet to see Muse?
I've not seen Muse live. I'm not that crazy a fan. Okay. But as far as rock bands that are in the popular culture goes, yeah, they're fine. I love them.
Do you know that Foo Fighters were originally, because of Dave Grohl's broken leg, they were meant to headline the Friday last year?
Really?
Well, yeah, Dave Grohl broke his leg last year, so they had
Yeah, I
to
know.
replace them with Florence the Machine. And they were favourites to be here again, but then they ruled them out, and they're like, nope, we want Muse instead on the Friday. Muse's latest album, Drones, is actually awesome. And
I've not heard it. The last Muse album I heard was Uprising.
Uprising, that's the single, I believe. I don't think it's the album name.
No, the album is Resistance.
Resistance, yeah. I think, let's just say this. Muse were the band of the weekend at Download last year, and I'm not even a huge fan. They just completely stole the show and looked at home at a big rock festival. Yeah. Glastonbury, they've headlined it before. They headlined it in 2010. At Glastonbury this year, they will blow Coldplay to smithereens in terms of... Both will be great. Like, I'm not into Coldplay, but you can tell Coldplay will work at Glastonbury.
I used to be, because my dad played a lot of Coldplay when I was growing up. I missed... You guys talked about Coldplay last week, didn't you?
We did, yeah. We basically...
I was out for that. So can I give my quick consensus of Coldplay before we continue?
Please do.
Yeah, my consensus of Coldplay is they don't deserve the hate they get.
Okay.
They're much like Nickelback. I don't think they deserve the shit that they get.
Okay.
I grew up a Coldplay fan when I was a kid. I loved Viva La Vida, and that was from the Prospectors March album, I think. I loved Viva La Vida. I grew up with that, and now I'm older. I just gradually got heavier and heavier as I got older and older. So I gradually just got out of them. So I don't listen to them, but I always have a soft spot for them. Is my quick micro explanation.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think that's it. Rumours. Saturday night headliner. Who do you reckon for Glastonbury? You got one more headliner left on the Saturday night, the big Saturday night, because they always get their biggest headliner on the Saturday night. Mm-hmm. Who do you reckon potentially? I reckon either Adele or Guns N' Roses.
I reckon Bullet for My Valentine. Shit.
Is it? Or Steel Panther. Or
Alestorm,
Sabaton.
Or Baby Metal, just to spite me.
Or Wilson.
I am hoping
it would be Wilson.
GNR, but that would be putting my optimism to the test.
Yeah, it won't be Guns N' Roses.
No, I am hoping it will, but I am gonna bite my tongue for the worst.
I don't know. It won't be Guns N' Roses. Fuck no.
But Mills, it could be. That's the thing. Like at the moment, Reading Festival, our favourite festival.
Reading Festival is amazing.
Yeah, they're announcing. They've got a big announcement to make on Tuesday, so me and Mills will be going through that next weekend. If that's all right with you, dude.
No, of course we can't. We can't fucking talk about Reading. Yeah, of course we can.
Yes,
go for it.
It's a rock festival. It works.
We've talked about Reading Festival before. Let's do it again. Let's piss off more people.
Okay, well, it depends. They might have bands we like. We'll see. But yeah, Ramblin' Man Fair. Mm-hmm. That is a festival which has been going on for about a year now. It's not as big as Sonosphere or Download, but
nope.
Have you seen the lineup this year?
Nope.
Do you know anything about it?
I haven't, unfortunately.
I'm trying to.
So I can't.
Right, DuPont, be our guru.
Yes, it's finally appeared.
Yeah, we're not using our phones as research tools last minute. We're not cheating. Don't worry.
No, it's fine. It's actually the first time I've done this.
I'll give you credit. Yeah.
We're up to episode 9, and it's the first time I've used my phone for information. Okay.
I would use mine, but we're recording on it.
May we just get the list?
Yes, let's get the list, Matanza. Okay. Now, Ramblin' Man Fair is in Kent. I believe
the heart of rock and roll.
Ashford, Kent. But let's just say this. Main stage on the Saturday. Whitesnake, Thin Lizzy doing the Jailbreak 40th anniversary tour.
Nice.
Europe, Ginger Wildheart, Sebastian Bach, Inglorious. And on the second stage, you've got a band called Family, Uriah Heep. And on a different stage, you've got Hayseed Dixie headlining. On the Sunday, headlining Blackstone Cherry. Supported by Thunder, Airborne, the Cadillac Free, the Answers, the Headhunters, the Gravel Tones. On the second stage, you've got Procol Harum, Hawkwind, and the other bands I've never heard of. Ginger Baker's playing. I've heard of him. I've heard of Tax.
So the first day sounds 10 times better than the second one.
The second one, Thunder, Airborne, the Cadillac Free, are good bands. I reckon.
Blackstone. The other day, I defended Blackstone Cherry having their own arena tour. They should not headline the same festival that's being headlined by fucking Whitesnake.
I feel like I'm being pushed out of my own podcast at this point.
No, go ahead.
Then speak.
Well, I would if I could only see the set list.
Okay.
Okay. I see. I more or less agree, and I can get away with. Yeah.
Can you say what band you're talking about, please?
Yeah, because
basically, imagine the top 2 sections. the top 50%. I can let people get away with that stuff, even if some of those bands might not be in
Which bands are they?
Whitesnake, Thin Lizzy...
You're not grasping the whole audio-only thing, are you?
Shut up! Well, guys, shut up.
God, he's got a ranking point.
No, I'm just in a very, very, very strict mood today. Whitesnake, Thin Lizzy, Europe, Ginger Wildheart, and Blackstone Cherry, Airborne. Yeah, they're the bands that I can actually say that I would enjoy seeing for whatever purpose.
But they're both playing over 2 different days.
Yeah. I know, which is why I'm saying I can enjoy taking my pick.
Got you. But you said you prefer the Saturday.
The Saturday, yeah, sorry, can I take a look at the set list again? We're playing bloody musical... bloody whatever with this. Right, so, yeah, I think the Saturday sounds 10 times better than the Sunday.
I agree overall. However, Blackstone Cherry do deserve to headline because they are big enough.
Oh yeah, I agree, but I'd prefer it if it was Whitesnake headlining the Saturday and Thin Lizzy headlining the Sunday. That would be better booking. Even Europe headlining the Sunday.
I know we talked about Alice Cooper headlining the Stone Free Festival, but Alice Cooper headlining one of those days would work a treat as well, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
Let's be honest, I think you guys will hopefully agree with me. That is the equivalent of second stage at Download Festival.
I'd agree.
Yep. What I mean is the headliners on this stage are equivalent to second stage headliners at Download, or second or third on the main stage.
I definitely agree with that.
Thunder, believe it or not, are much bigger than people think they are. Thunder have got a huge following. They even played Wembley Arena this month, which people don't even know about. And I remind them. But yeah, that is a good festival. That will sell tickets.
I must admit, I feel bad having not heard of it now because that's a pretty damn solid lineup right there.
And
if you put Thin Lizzy on the Sunday, I'd be sold.
Yeah, and for the whole thing, you mean?
Yeah.
By the way, Whitesnake currently aren't touring the Purple album anymore. They're now calling it the Greatest Hits Tour. Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's got to be the weirdest thing that I've ever heard.
No, lots of bands have done it, Matanza. Lots of bands have said the Greatest Hits Tour. I went to Lenny Kravitz's Greatest Hits Tour in a long time
it's
ago.
not that. I mean, they've actually just, they've decided not to tour with the Purple album.
No, because the tour's done.
Yeah,
that's
but
why. It's New Year.
But they have literally just decided to do a Greatest Hits tour.
I can't see them playing any of the Deep Purple classics from the 70s. However, last year they had the Scorpions headlining. Scorpions snubbed Download for Rambling Man Fair just so they could headline something. They got offered second stage headline, and they're like, no, we want to be top of the tree.
We want to be the main event.
Yeah. And the other headline...
It's pronounced V in German.
Yeah, it's good. I probably won't go, because most of those bands I've seen multiple times, but the Thin Lizzy is a massive selling point, because obviously we know them now as Black Star Riders, but in dedication to Phil Lynott, Gary Moore, and obviously celebrating the Jailbreak album, which they could well be playing in its entirety. If they do, that would be stunning.
Yeah, man.
And Thin Lizzy, I think that's their only UK show as Thin Lizzy, as confirmed as of yet.
Cool.
But yeah, Ginger Wildheart. The Wildhearts are playing at Download. They're a killer band, and Ginger is a legend in my book. I think he's one that's so underrated. It's a solid festival. If you buy a ticket, you're making a wise decision. I probably won't be going, but you guys seem quite impressed from what you've read.
I'm impressed enough to say that I can definitely get away with going to see all of the bands that we've mentioned we would potentially like to see at that fest, and it would be enough to satisfy me if I did go.
Okay, sweet.
Yep.
What about you, Mills, just finishing it off?
I'd go if I had the money or the time or the patience.
Sweet. Now moving on to...
the main event.
Main event. It's myself and Matt Mills' top 5 live albums of all time.
Of every and all times.
And Matunda is not taking part because he couldn't get a list sorted in time.
It's more that pretty much.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so who's going to throw out the first name?
As you were not here last week, I think you should, being polite.
Oh, you're such a gentleman.
Yes,
Stop it.
2 weeks ago, you were my Valentine after all.
I know. You weren't mine, so I feel like a prick.
No,
anyway.
It's fine. One day, David Cameron will join us on this podcast.
And I will fucking kill the prick. Right, okay, anyway, live albums. Number 5, Metallica Live Ship, Binge and Purge.
That was from the 90s, am I correct?
1993, but the reason it's on there is because of their Seattle show in 1989.
Believe it or not, I hate to embarrass myself here, that's like the only Metallica release I've never heard Live Till Leather, and I've never heard that, but everything else I've heard. So fair play to you.
Yeah, Live Ship, Binge and Purge.
Because that was an album as well, wasn't it?
It's a live album.
Yeah, and DVD, right?
Yeah, live album, DVD. Well, it was originally a VHS when it came out in the 90s, but it's DVD now. Yeah, Metallica Live Ship Binge and Purge came out in 1993. 3 shows on it. A show in California, a show in Mexico, and a show in Seattle. The Seattle show is the reason it's on this list. The other 2 shows didn't blow me away as much as the Seattle one did, hence why it's quite low on the list. But the Seattle one, the crowd was fucking intense. There's not much more I can say about it. Like, it's Metallica, you know what you're going to get live. And the reason it's on this list is because the crowd in Seattle just gave it that extra dose of epicness.
Was this Supporting Black album?
No, this was... Well, it depends which one.
No, what I mean is...
The 89 show was Supporting Justice.
For All. So basically you had the first 4 albums set list.
Yeah, the set list was exclusively their best stuff.
Which, as Metallica fans, you can only be happy about, really.
Yeah.
Especially Kill 'Em All, Ride Lightning. You know,
Yeah.
We spoke about spoke about them the other week about how much we love early Metallica from the 80s, and On Form, and they obviously, unfortunately, sad news at that time. Cliff Burton had died, but they had Jason Newsted. He was on bass at the time. Yeah,
Newsted. Well, this was '89, so Burton had been dead for about 3 years at this point. Newsted. This is when Newsted really became a member of the band. Wasn't
because you can't hear the bass on the album.
Yeah, it was this tour. Because Newsted's amazing live. He has such charisma.
Yes, and he looks like a fan on stage.
Yeah, of course. He's wearing the T-shirt. He's got all that.
And the expression on his face when he stomps around the stage with his bass.
Just pure happiness, isn't it? Like.
Yeah.
And
I felt sorry for him in the 90s.
Yeah.
When he got almost excluded because he wasn't a founding member.
But anyway. Live shit. I love it. There's not much more to say. It's classic Metallica. You know, it does what it says in the tin. It kicks your ass.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, seems like a good way to start off. But for that particular live album, do you feel that is pretty much like the pinnacle of Metallica, or do you feel that they can still carry on as well as that?
I think that was the pinnacle.
Yeah.
Because that's when they had four releases out at that point, all of which were nothing short of A-star.
Cool.
So the set list was, fantastic.
Excellent.
So they were just supporting their best stuff.
Okay, my number 5 is actually the only album live release in my top 5 that I was actually at, because I've been to many, fortunate enough to say, that have come out on DVD and CD.
Cool.
Aerosmith live in Donington 2014. I don't know if you guys have heard about it or seen it.
I have not. I'm not a massive Aerosmith guy. I'm more metal.
I was there. It was the Sunday night. They were following Alter Bridge, which is bloody hard, and they put on a party, man. And the performance was great. And they opened with A Train Kept A-Rolling.
Yeah.
And then I think went into Love in an Elevator. And greatest hits.
I love that song.
Yeah, greatest hits set. It's basically an aging band on form, tight.
Yeah.
Great audience, great performance, perfect weather.
Yeah, I bet.
And Steven Tyler still sounding brilliant. I'm not saying vocally he was perfect on every song.
Hang on, I'm going to sneeze.
Go ahead.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ!
Well, thank you for warning us.
That's okay. It's okay.
It's all good. But yeah,
I should not swear after every sneeze.
It's fine.
I don't have sneeze Tourette's.
You swear after every friggin' hiccup, man.
Yeah, I just swear a lot. I'm a very sweary fucking person. Anyway, carry on, DuPont.
Indeed. Aerosmith were fucking awesome at Download Festival in 2014. And for me, they were the second best band of the weekend behind Twisted Sister, who I've mentioned before, how phenomenally good live they are. And I'm very much still planning to save money for Bloodstock. Aerosmith engaged with the crowd. They played what the fans wanted. It was like an hour and 45 set. The encore was Dream On and Sweet Emotion. They ended the set with Walk This Way. Before then, you had Don't Wanna Miss a Thing. You had Janie's Got a Gun. You had Dude Looks Like a Lady. You had Toys in the Attic. Sorry if I've already mentioned that. I may have done.
No, I think it's the first time.
Yeah. That. And also, they only played one song from the latest album, which was good because Music from Another Dimension was a shit Aerosmith album. They played Jaded. They played Living on the Edge. Listening to the CD sounds brilliant. It doesn't sound like it could be from any decade when you listen to it. It sounds like it could be 70s or 80s. It could have been recorded. And as I was there, when I watched the DVD, it brings back fantastic memories. It brings me back to being in that crowd.
Yeah.
And I bought it actually in semester 1 here at uni. I went down to HMV in Winchester and picked it up and enjoyed it I watched it on my laptop and I was like, take me back. And Aerosmith are one of those bands that aren't in the UK very often, and if you get the chance to see them, go ahead. Have either of you two, actually, well, have you seen any clips from Aerosmith live in Donington 2014?
No, but I have pretty much seen most of their stuff from around the place, and
What do you mean by around the place?
well, just like I've seen all of their major hits performed in pretty much most of the big name venues on the planet. So I haven't seen anything specifically in Donington, but I've seen a lot at Woodstock, and I've seen a couple of things at Milton Keynes.
Excellent. So you and Aerosmith, you're not really a fan?
Oh yeah, me and Aerosmith have a pretty rocky relationship.
Is there a reason?
Not really. It's just I prefer heavier stuff. I'm going to sound like...
No, but you love Bon Jovi.
Yeah, I know, but that's only because I grew up on it.
But
You could have grown. No, I can understand it's your own thing.
Yeah.
Like some people can like Bon Jovi and not like Aerosmith. Some people can like Aerosmith. That's Bon Jovi.
I
That's
didn't
music
grow
fans.
up on Aerosmith. Like
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
and as I'm older, the only bands I get into now are like extreme metal
By the way,
bands.
I got into Aerosmith before Bon Jovi because of The Simpsons. What was it? That was actually my first introduction, watching Flaming Moe's as a kid and having Steven Tyler, basically having all 5 of them. That's another thing I need to mention before I wrap up this Aerosmith bit. Aerosmith still have the classic lineup, the original lineup, which is Joe Perry, Steven Tyler, Joey Kramer, Brad Whitford, and Tom Hamilton, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
these guys are in their 60s. It's still them.
Yeah,
you can't say that about Kiss, Priest,
and
Maiden.
even though
You can't say that.
Yeah, even though they
Metallica.
have had a couple of spells where they have gone off the place, they have always remained the classic Aerosmith lineup ultimately to this day.
I have seen in 2014 the Aerosmith from 1970.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and that as a collector of CDs and going to gigs and being a fan, it's, as I've said, I'm a huge Kiss fan.
Yeah.
I'll never see Kiss with Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter. It will just never happen because there's 2 guys dressed up as them, which is, for me as a fan, frustrating. But we're not talking about Kiss. But that was my number 5. Mr. Matt Mills, your number 4.
My number 4 is Made in England 88.
88.
Made in England 88.
Oh, was that in Donington?
No, that was in Birmingham.
Okay, it was. Yes, it was.
That was their show in Birmingham in 1988.
So still in the Midlands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will say Live After Death is the best Maiden live album. And
I disagree. Mine's actually on the list. Spoilers. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
So yours isn't Made in England 88 then?
No, and it's not live, but we'll talk about it later.
It's not Live After Death either. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Right, so going to Made in England. It's on my list for 2 reasons. The first being that the set list was amazing, because people know, if they listened to a few weeks ago, my favourite Maiden album is Seventh Son of a Seventh Son.
And you're wearing the shirt at the moment.
I am wearing the Seventh Son of a Seventh Son
and must
Made
I
in
say,
England t-shirt.
it looks fantastic.
Yeah, the artwork's amazing. It's all fantastic. The set list was mostly comprised of Seventh Son material because that's the album they were touring in 1988. So as a result, I love that set list. I love the songs they play. It's even got stuff like Wasted Years, which you don't get on Live After Death.
By the way, at the moment, sorry, I'm going a bit off topic, but they're actually closing. They actually closed their first show on the Book of Souls tour with Wasted Years.
Yes, they did. It's the first time they've closed a show like that. Yeah. So yeah. What was I talking about? Yeah. Anyway, second reason, this is my favourite Maiden live album, is because when they released it in 2013, it only led to one of the greatest hit tours of all time.
Of course.
With Maiden England, which lasted for 3 years, and went through all the major festivals all over the world, played all their best songs, tons of stuff from Seventh Son, and it led to one of the greatest tours of all time. One of my favourite shows of all time was on that tour when I saw them at Sonosphere 2014. So that release led to one of my favourite set lists of all time.
I can't wait to talk about Maiden to try and outdo you.
You bring it on, bitch.
Okay, carry
I'm
on.
so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about Made in England.
Okay,
It's
Matanza, if you can have your
amazing.
say on Maiden after I speak, because Maiden is my number 4 as well. Mine is Iron Maiden Flight 66
okay.
from 2008, supporting, basically, you did Seventh Son, I did Power Slave, and that was when they played their gig at Twickenham Stadium. I was not there.
Twickenham! I
I
love that stadium.
Yeah, Bruce Dickinson opened that gig by kicking a rugby ball out into the
Brilliant.
Aha! Where the rose.
Indeed, and yes, Matanza, well said. I think
Brilliant.
with
I'm glad we got that out there.
yes, for sure. Mills, have you listened to Flight 66?
I have Flight 666.
What, you have the CD and DVD?
Yes.
Both. And those crowds are phenomenal.
They are insane, aren't they?
Insane. And for that reason, I think that tour, okay, I know I didn't go, but I think that tour tops Made in England. And you can understand why.
Yeah, I can see
I know
why.
Seventh Son is more to you because you prefer the album. I prefer Seventh Son the album, but I thought the band was actually Maiden still sound fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think they sounded even better in 2008 than compared to 2013.
Fair enough.
That's just what I think.
I disagree. I disagree. But...
Fear of the Dark, live from Argentina, is hairs on your arms go up. I know you could say that about any time.
Have you heard Fear of the Dark download 2013?
I have. I was there.
Brilliant, because that raises my hairs.
Okay. For me, also, Revelations live in, I think it's Australia, on that tour. For me, hearing the band on form, in my opinion, the set list was just as good as Seventh Son tour. They played Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
Yes, they did.
And they played Power Slave. They opened with Aces High. They opened their gig with Aces High, which is, in my opinion, much better than opening with Moonchild.
I disagree. I prefer Moonchild.
I think Aces High kills Moonchild.
No, Moonchild's got that great... Moonchild has an amazing build-up to it.
Yes.
Like, with Aces High, they had to add their own build-up with the Churchill speech. With Seventh Son, it was made for that build-up. It has the acoustics. It has the Seven Deadly Sins verse. That was made to build up a crowd. Aces High was not.
I know what you mean, but for me...
Aces High is a good mid-set song.
I agree. For me, I think that's... For Flight 666, which is the album that I'm talking about as my number 4, you've got a band on form paying tribute to that 80s back catalogue. And yes, an opening with Aces High and playing the set list that I did in multiple countries. Okay, the only frustrating thing is there's no recording of a UK show, which is frustrating. But it hasn't...
That's why I love Made in England 88. It's all in the UK.
For sure. But anyway, that's just what I think. Matanza Mafia Fedora is dying to say something. Go ahead.
I don't think I was dying, actually, but yeah.
Excellent, moving on.
I was just going to say
No,
that
it's fine.
of those two albums, I think I'm going to have to side more with you on that one.
Okay.
Who's you? Who's you? We don't know.
Mr. DuPont.
Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, my reason being mostly virtually everything you just say, but also I think the album just has more of a feel for me, if anything.
Well, you prefer Power Slave as an album.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And both of these albums I don't think you've listened to. I recommend listening to both of them because both are
I've
fantastic.
listened to most of the stuff from both, but I haven't actually listened to the full set on either. But all I can say is from what I have heard, which is probably about 70% on average for the two of them, I am on your side for that one.
Okay, sweet.
Right.
Now moving on to Matt Mills' number 3.
The Big Four live in Sofia, Bulgaria.
I completely forgot about that. What I'm on about was when I was going over at live albums in my head, it just vanished for some reason. It just never appeared. But I was at Sonosphere Nebworth and Fair Shout indeed. Yep, and that Nebworth show was brilliant, but Sophia was better. I've got the DVD too.
Yeah, I've got the DVD, I've got the pick, I've got everything. I love... It's kind of cheating because it's actually 4 performances, but...
Nah,
fuck you guys, it's my list.
It works.
It works, like it's...
So you've got Metallica twice on your list.
Metallica is the first time I've included the same band on our list twice. Yeah, Metallica's show was amazing. The Sofia, Bulgaria crowd was mad. The Anthrax show with their tribute to Ronnie James Dio was very heartwarming.
Yes.
The entire Anthrax show was amazing. Slayer kicked ass. That was one of the last shows Jeff Hanneman did. So automatically that makes it special to me.
Oh, for sure. I have one criticism, by the way, of that gig, and it's nothing to do with the bands. I think the crowd's mosh pit shit.
Fair enough.
What I mean
They make enough noise to make me happy.
No, they sing along well, but if you were at Nebworth, the pits for Raining Blood.
Oh, I bet.
And fucking like I Am the Law and Indians. I think the Sophia crowds, like in terms of intensity of the audience circle pit, that's what thrash metal is. Audience circle pits, rebellion. There wasn't much of that from the DVD, but that's the only thing I'll fault. That is not the band's fault; it's the crowd's fault.
And I'll talk about the Megadeth set as well.
Yep.
Probably the weakest set of the lot, but still decent. Like it was Chris Broderick and Sean Drover made that.
Yeah.
They made Megadeth for me because that was the lineup I was into. That was the lineup I was into when I first got into Megadeth. So I always have that nostalgia for Chris Broderick and Sean Drover. And now that they've moved on to Active Defiance, I love Active Defiance as well. But that's beside the point. The point is, Big Four, Sofia, Bulgaria, the DVD, CD pack, all of it, love it.
Yeah, I agree. I also have that DVD, and like I said, I was in Sophia. It's a shame that I think 2012 was the last Big Four because it seems to have gone now. It could come back one time, and when it does come back, I'm sure all three of us will be wanting tickets.
They said the only reason they stopped is because Dave Mustaine was so hard to work with.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
That is more than understandable.
Well, I know it's for you, yeah.
That is 100% plus 10 condonable.
Yeah, I think Slayer themselves said that they would love to tour the rest of their career as the Big Four. Slayer themselves said that's how much they enjoyed it. But
that reminds me as well when they all came on together to do Am I Evil?
Yeah,
that was an amazing moment. It's a shame Slayer didn't show up.
I have one criticism of that.
Slayer didn't show up apart from Dave Lombardo.
In Nebworth they did.
Yeah.
But I have one criticism of that, and that's not for this show you're talking about. I'm on about all the Big Four. They should, as it's the Big Four, they should end with Am I Evil?
They should end with it instead of doing
and then
Metallica's encore.
Metallica coming back on stage is bad because it's basically saying we are much bigger and better, which we all know they are, but like that's subjective to what I think.
How dare they prove themselves right?
At the same time, they can't do that.
Yeah, it's principle, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the Big Four tour, and then they come back on and play their own hits.
Yeah, I think they should have traded headliners.
Like the Beatles, you'll always have a favourite out of the Fab Four, but regardless, you can't say that John is better than Ringo or George is better than Paul for whatever reason, just to big yourself up when you happen to be that person. You've got a place in there, be thankful that you've got it.
Yeah, that's it. Well said, actually. I said Kiss is another example with the original four, pick your favourite. And it would have been fitting for them to go Seek and Destroy, then Am I Evil,
That would have been great.
Because Metallica, by doing that, is basically saying, this is our tour, worship us, you are support bands. It just showed that a bit.
Yeah. You might be looking a bit too deep into it, but at the same time, I do agree.
Let's be honest, right? Metallica are much bigger than the other bands. When I say much bigger, Slayer have sold 40 million records, Metallica have sold 100 million.
Of course they have.
Slayer play Brixton Academy, Metallica play Wembley Stadium.
Yeah, of course.
What is the key thing?
Because that's number one and number two. That's the key thing.
Yeah, I know, but what exactly are the main things that really separate them all as the Fab Four? Just very quickly, one key characteristic for each band that sets them apart.
Anthrax run around the most.
Yeah.
They're the most like skateboard shorts, crazy.
So yeah.
The most in common.
Anthrax are the most punk.
Yeah, Anthrax are the most punk. Megadeth are the most technical.
Megadeth are the most intricate. Yeah. Slayer are the heaviest. Yeah, Metallica have the commercial edge.
Yeah, Slayer are easily the heaviest band. You could even say Slayer are the heaviest band of the 80s. I know there may be heavier that I do not know of or have listened to, but I can't think of heavier than Rain in Blood if I think of 80s.
I think of 80s. Yeah. I think I'd agree with that. Probably maybe Venom, one of the heaviest albums of all time.
Venom are pretty heavy, but I wouldn't say they're Rain and Blood heavy.
No.
Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, that's it for your number
that's
3.
me for Sofia, Bulgaria.
Okay, my number 3, and this is
number 3.
This is actually the smallest act, and this just now means a lot to me. Another Night in the Sun from 2010 by Michael Monroe.
Okay.
Previous frontman of Hanoi Rocks. Growing up, when I was really getting into glam rock and like 80s hair metal and stuff, I got into Hanoi Rocks for 2 reasons. Number 1, because Guns N' Roses cited them as an influence, and also because I've read Motley Crue's book The Dirt, and Vince Neil killed their drummer Razzle drink driving.
That's one of the reasons why I hate Vince Neil.
Yeah, I remember you saying before. And yeah, I love Hanoi Rocks. Now Hanoi Rocks broke up because of his death.
Yes.
Which is fitting excuse.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But Michael Monroe had a successful solo career. He's their front man.
Yeah.
Now he is a rock legend. Regardless, he might not have the biggest fan base in the world or the most memorable of back catalogues. Well, it depends what you're into. But what I mean is, can you guys name a Hanoi Rock song?
No.
And you're both big rock fans, so that's what I mean. That's not criticism. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
I am a fan, and they got back together, and him and Andy McCoy, their lead guitar player, frontman and lead guitarist having conflict. It's a common thing in rock music, and they had it when they got back together again in the 2000s. And then when and Michael Monroe was just like, I'm done with this guy. Hanoi Rocks are doing a farewell tour. We're not getting back together. I'm gonna have my own band, and we can be awesome. And his band consisted of Sammy Yaffa from Hanoi Rock, so he kept him in the band, Steve Conte from the New York Dolls, and Ginger Wildheart, who is no longer in the band, but he played an album. Ginger Wildheart from the Wild Hearts, and solo artist on lead guitar. So, and Carl Rockwitz, I don't know what band he was in, but he was Supergroup under Michael Monroe's name.
Yeah.
Because Michael Monroe is the biggest star in the band. He's the biggest legend. Well, actually, Ginger's a legend, but it's more about Michael.
Same thing's going on with Mark Tremonti's new band.
Yeah, exactly, roughly. Because you've got Wolfpack Gang Van Halen on.
Wolfgang Van Halen, yeah.
But yeah, with Michael Monroe recorded an album in. I'm sorry if I get this wrong. It's definitely in Finland. I presume it's in Helsinki. I should know this because it's in my top 5 live albums. But it was recorded there in 2010, and let's just say this: glam punk. At the time, he didn't have his first solo studio album as the new Michael Monroe band out, but they did back catalogue of Michael's projects. So you had Hanoi Rocks hits, you had his solo hits, and you had his 90s band Demolition 23 hits. And all you need to do is hear it. From track to track, it sounds fantastic. And I know that I wasn't there, and I know I didn't see him before that tour, but I saw him promote that album, supporting Motorhead at Southampton Guildhall in 2010, and I was like, this guy is one of the best live performers I've ever seen. Michael Monroe is a true showman, a rock legend, and Motorhead were brilliant that day, but were they better than Michael Monroe? I'm not sure. And that's just what I think. And this album, as soon as the album, I went to HMV, picked up Another Night in the Sun is a good name for a live album, isn't it?
Of course.
Yeah.
Another Night in the Sun. And the band are on form, tight, vocally great, tune. And I actually played it at work one time in my bookstore, and my old colleague Grant said, like, wow, I like this, Alex. I've never heard these songs before, but they hit me hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's a live album, and I'm like, yep. And he goes, you sound like you're there. Even if you've never listened to this band, you listen to it and you're like, I can imagine being at that gig.
Fair enough.
You know, there's good interaction with the audience. There's audience sing-along, and it just hits you hard. And it's an album that means a lot to me because I'm a big Michael Monroe fan. I've seen him about 4 times now. And since then, he's released 3 successful, or moderately successful studio albums, toured the UK on every occasion. I didn't go to his 2015 tour, but that's because at the time, I just wanted to do other things. I'd seen Michael, it's a bit like me and Trivium.
Yeah.
I would go most of the time, but because I've seen them so many times, this upcoming tour doesn't interest me as much as yourself, Matt Mills. But Michael Monroe's Another Night in the Sun, worth checking out if you can, guys. Do you know much about Hanoi Rocks? Or
No.
Michael?
But you bring up Trivium, I just want to bring up one very quick side note. On the 22nd of March, their show at Portsmouth, I am interviewing Corey Bewley and Paolo Gregoletto. Continue.
Excellent. Nice. And we'll definitely be talking about
that
interview and that gig.
Later on down the line.
Matanza, what's your history with Michael Monroe and Hanoi Rocks?
I have virtually not that much to speak about. All I can say is that I have heard them in the background of a few things in my mate's dad's car a couple of times when he was picking his son up from football, and I was there just for the spectators, and that was virtually all. I just didn't really pay much attention.
Got you. Okay, Matt Mills, your number 2.
My number 2 is Sabaton, Swedish Empire, live at Woodstock, Poland.
Oh, something we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, we're going to be beating a dead horse with this shit. But yeah, Sabaton, Swedish Empire.
Wait, sorry, this isn't the album you mentioned the other day to review, was it?
No, I'm reviewing Heroes on Tour, which is their brand new one, which was at Wacken.
Anyway, divulge.
Yes, the Swedish Woodstock show. Sorry, the Polish Woodstock show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Swedish Empire. The Woodstock was in Poland, right?
Yeah.
The crowd was just amazing. What more can I say? It's the biggest crowd they've ever played in front of, nearly 600,000 people in Poland. And Poland is a crazy metal country. And they're even crazier about Sabaton. Because Sabaton sings a lot about conflicts that happened in Poland, like how the Polish resisted the Nazi takeover in the 40s and 30s. So there's this great chemistry between audience and band. The set list was fantastic. At this point they had just released Carolus Rex, which I said earlier is their masterpiece. It's their magnum opus, and the set list really reflected that. Lots of Carolus Rex stuff, which I thought was absolutely amazing because I love that album. I'm not very good at reviewing live albums. I can't really do it in that great a detail. But the set list was amazing. The crowd was amazing. Their performances were amazing. The relationship between the band members was amazing. Even though they had just done like a complete overhaul of the lineup and only the vocalist and the bassist were left, it's like they'd been doing shows together for like 10, 20 years. So like the chemistry, everything was just awesome, and I love it. I love it nearly as much as I love my number one. It was really hard to choose between my number two and my number one. There was only one factor that really pushed it, but we'll get to that in a minute. Mr. DuPont, what is your number two?
Okay. My number two, I wasn't there. I wish I was. It is Sicknesses by Slipknot, which is their 2009 headline show at Download Festival on Saturday night.
That is a good choice.
I reckon.
That's a good album.
I reckon the greatest show the band have ever played, and arguably, I reckon probably the greatest headline show in the history of Download Festival. From 2003
I'd agree with
to
that.
2015. I know other people will say Rammstein or Muse or someone, but
no.
Slipknot were at their peak.
Of course they were.
In popularity, and as their first time headlining a major festival.
Hot off their first number one album as well, with All Hope Is Gone.
Yes, US number one, UK number two. And my God. My God. They opened with Sick.
Yep.
First song from the first album. Going into Eyeless, going into Wait and Bleed, and then I'm pretty sure they played Get This, which is a rare cut from the debut album. And then, before I forget, where the whole of Donington is bouncing in time with each other, and all I can say is, sounds fantastic, band are pissed off, angry, the crowd are losing their minds, and the start of Duality gets the hairs on your arms up. As soon as he says, I want everyone all over the UK to hear you sing these words, I push my fingers into my... That is the loudest thing, one of the loudest things you will ever hear from any live gig ever.
The best Jump the Fuck Up I've ever seen.
And Jump the Fuck Up, the last song of the night, Jump the Fuck Up to Spit It Out. Phenomenally, an hour and a half. That is the best hour and a half you will ever see. If you were there, I am so jealous. I'm grateful that I saw...
You can somehow have sex that lasts an hour and a half. It will not be as good as that Slipknot show.
Agreed. And also...
I would not know. I cannot comment on that.
Fair enough. Fair play for your honesty. But with Slipknot, that hour and a half gig at Download in 2009 with the original 9.
Yep.
Which you can be proud to say you were there. You saw them with Paul Gray and Joey Jordison.
Yeah.
Obviously with the other 7. And all I can say is that is Slipknot sounding their best, at their best, not promoting their best album, but it had Psychosocial on it, had Dead Memories.
It had it had the hits.
It had hits. The songs that got the biggest reaction for me were probably the song... Well, my mate Greg was there, and he told me about the biggest crowd response in terms of were the songs from Volume 3. He said, Before I Forget, Duality and Vermilion. And
Before I Forget is my favourite Slipknot song.
Yeah,
right now.
And it's...
no, Vermilion, actually. It's my favourite Slipknot song.
I'm glad that you backed me up, because I don't think this is in your top 5. It may be your number 1, I don't know yet.
What, Slipknot?
Yeah.
No.
No, but you tell me what you think of that live recording CD and DVD at Download Festival.
That is actually in my honourable mentions.
Okay, nice one.
So I'll get out what I have to say about it now.
Okay.
I've already said best Jump the Fuck Up, probably amazing set list, even more amazing crowd.
Yeah, and it was the first.
Yeah. The chemistry was amazing. All the band was there. That's a spectacle in and of itself. The same reason I love the Big Four show for being one of the last to feature Jeff Hanneman.
Yes.
This is one of the final ones to feature Paul Gray.
Yeah, you had the classic Slayer lineup, because you had Lombardo on drums as well.
Yeah, but we're getting beside the point.
Yeah.
Slipknot, that was all fantastic. Joey Jordison had his weird drum setup. Do they still do that?
No, they don't. The reason being is because their current drummer, Jay Weinberg, the son of Bruce Springsteen drummer Max Weinberg, can't do the spinny circle because he just doesn't do it. However, it is a bit of a shame, but at the same time, Slipknot...
That was always Joey Jordison's thing, wasn't
Joey
it?
Jordison's thing with the spinny rising drum kit.
Yeah.
Also, everyone who's seen Slipknot headline a major UK festival, if it's Download or Sonosphere or even their gigs, like their headline shows at Wembley Arena and stuff, this show at Download 2009 was the first of these huge shows.
Then they wouldn't.
Shows. That was the very first. They didn't play a gig anywhere near as big as that. Before then, however, they did in 2002 play London Arena, which was recorded for. Like the Iowa Tour DVD. I remember the name of that. It was called Disaster Pieces.
That was the one.
Yeah. And they open with People Equal Shit. I reckon their two best albums, setlist openers are either People Equal Shit or Sick. You can't top either of them.
What about that live album that came out straight after Subliminal Verses? It's called Live .5 or something like that.
Yeah, I think they open with People Equal Shit. Yeah. I could be wrong. But yeah, for me, Sick and People Equal Shit are their two best album openers.
Yeah.
On their 2009 headline show at Download, they open with Sick, first song from the first album. It's also the 10-year anniversary of that album. It was 2009, and the 1999 album was the debut. So 10 years.
They were promoting the 10th anniversary of the original album more than they were promoting All Hope Is Gone.
Roughly, but there's better songs in that album. We've had our say on Slipknot. Matanza, what's your view on Slipknot and their live show at Download?
We haven't heard from you in about 15 minutes, so go for it.
Yes, you have. You've heard from me in about the past 5, but yeah, from what I have heard of that, just taking a quick gandy around the place this past week, actually, it's actually really, really, really good. So yeah, it is something that I need to see more of, but so far I've only gone about 4 songs into it fully, and then I had to cut the 5th one short because, damn it, I ended up needing to go and do some stuff, and it took way too long. By the time I got back to my room, I just completely lost interest in life, and I went straight to bed.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah.
What
I need to be re-energized, and I'll watch the rest of that online.
We both definitely recommend it. Matt Mills, your honourable mentions before your number one.
Honourable mentions. We've already mentioned Slipknot. I only have one more honourable mention, and that's I have 2, both by Iron Maiden, Flight 666 and Live After Death. We've already talked about these to death, so I'm not gonna go into it. Your honourable mentions.
I'll talk about 2, but I'll make them short and sweet.
Cool.
Both gigs I was at.
Cool.
Judas Priest, Epitaph. Hammersmith Apollo 2012, Saxon supporting.
Cool.
Judas Priest recorded it for a live DVD, which I have on DVD. I was there. The band do a 2.5-hour greatest hit set, and were fantastic. One of the best gigs I went to in 2012.
Brilliant.
And the other one is Bruce Springsteen live in Hyde Park in 2009. I was also there on the Working on a Dream tour. The performance of Jungle Land in that is stunning. And I was there. I have the DVD at home. It was on Sky Arts for a while, and it was a worldwide DVD release of a tour which was very long, and I was there that night. Those 2 are in my honourable mentions because both are fantastic. Both I was there. Another one which wasn't in my honourable mentions was Sweet Summer Sun, Rolling Stones, Hyde Park 2013. I was also there. The same way how I was at the Who's British Summertime Hyde Park gig last year, which has also come out on DVD as well. I'm lucky to say that I've been at some fantastic gigs.
Sounds it.
Recorded. But yeah, anyway, Matt, your number 1, please.
My number 1 is Alter Bridge live from Wembley.
Oh yes, and you were there.
Because I was there. Yes. Not only was I there, that was the first concert I ever went to.
It's ever. AB3.
They were supporting AB3. November 2011. I think I just turned 15. First concert I ever went to was Alter Bridge, supported by Blackstone Cherry and Theory of a Dead Man.
Good bill.
That was a fantastic bill,
and it was only like 28 quid.
It wasn't. It was not expensive at all to go.
Yeah.
It was amazing from start to finish. Theory of a Dead Man had a great opening set because Theory of a Dead Man are a very sort of like party sort of album. So it's a party band rather. So they were definitely good at getting the crowd pumped for like their sort of like party antics. I'm like, I love Theory of a Dead Man. I've interviewed them since then. They're the loveliest guys in the world.
Yeah, and they supported Alter Bridge again. Wasn't it Alter Bridge? No, Blackstone Cherry.
They supported Blackstone Cherry again, yeah. So yeah, I loved Theory of a Dead Man were brilliant at getting the crowd pumped, at getting them, and then Blackstone Cherry came out. They might as well have been headlining Blackstone Cherry. They were on for a good hour and a half. They performed like a headline set. So like the crowd was really warm to them. They were really fantastic. And then Alter Bridge comes out, and I had never felt anything like it.
I have seen this show, just to clarify, but yeah, carry on. I've seen it and it's brilliant.
Or were you actually there, or was it on
No,
DVD?
no, I wasn't there. I've seen the whole thing on the internet.
Okay, cool.
So it's not quite the same, but I know how good
Oh
Old
my
Bridge are
god,
live.
the atmosphere was amazing. Like, just a bunch of screaming metalheads in the beating heart of London, going crazy over my favourite band of all time, Alter Bridge, supporting two of their greatest albums, Blackbird and AB3. Those are the ones that they played the most.
Yes.
So
And they did an acoustic bit near the end.
They did-
Wonderful Life and Watch Over You.
Yes, they did. They broke from Wonderful Life into Watch Over You, which I thought was an amazing transition. Really, really nice. I always liked Miles Kennedy's acoustic solo bits.
Of
And
course.
it was just all great fun. Ultra Bridge were having the time of their lives on that stage. They were just having fun. Everyone was just having fun. No one was taking this. It was the opposite to what made that Slipknot show great. Slipknot were pissed off and angry and intense.
Yeah.
Ultra Bridge were intense, but they were just having fun.
Yeah, and Miles Kennedy says on stage, "Good evening, Wembley. I can't believe I'm saying that." Because he's chuffed to be headlining that stage.
He said that this is the kind of shit I used to dream about when I was playing air guitar and a tennis racket.
Yeah.
That's what he said. And they're like,
Dream come true. Headlining Wembley is always a highlight in your career.
I think we've
Of course.
I think we've all had that dream at some point. Just if we were ever gonna get up there with a band of our own.
But yeah,
we would've done that.
I love this album.
for sure.
Everything positive I've said about Sabaton Swedish Empire applies to Alter Bridge Wembley. It was all perfect. The relationship between crowd and band was perfect. The relationship between band members was perfect. Technically, it was perfect. Blackbird live, good fucking god, was amazingly just brilliant. I lost it. Blackbird's my favourite song of all time.
They end their set with Rise Today.
Yeah, Rise Today.
Yeah.
And that was, I must admit, that's not my favourite of theirs. I'd prefer if they closed with something like Blackbird, but we're not, because that's
I love
much more melancholic.
Metalingus from that show is epic.
Metalingus is just a great song in general.
It is, but when
it's
they
so
play
great
it,
they gave it to a wrestler as one of his entrance themes.
For sure. I just love the drums at the end.
Talking about Edge, right?
Yeah, Edge, that's his name, yeah.
Yeah, from Toronto, Ontario, Canada, weighing in 241 pounds, Edge! I still remember playing WWE 2008, and he was my main choice wrestler.
You remember his exact weight?
Yes, I do.
He did.
Yes,
Brilliant,
I do,
yes.
and he is a very good-looking man as well.
He is.
That's your prerogative, that's fine. But
I am not gay.
I do not know this guy, just to clarify, but it's good that you guys do. And
I don't know that much about. I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid, but I don't know anything
Most
about it anymore.
famously, he hates John Cena.
I
And
don't.
they mutually hate each other with a burning passion.
I really don't care anymore. But let's talk about Alter Bridge, shall we?
yeah,
Continue.
Alter
It's-
Bridge, they've
it's
since
just
played.
perfect.
They've since become an established arena band since then. They
Yeah.
played Wembley, Fortress Tour.
This was the first time they became. This was their first arena tour, I
Yes,
think.
and they've done it since, and they'll do
Yeah.
it again.
Of
And
course they will. They're bloody better.
Even now, and they get each tour they're doing, they're getting further up. They're going to be headlining Download in 2017 or 2018, I guarantee. They are a wise choice to pick as a festival headliner.
Yep.
And at Download 2014, when they were under Aerosmith, they gave them a good run for their money, I tell you.
Oh yeah. But yeah, you're number one, Mr. DuPont. I'm really anxious to hear this.
Okay, my number one is one of the greatest and one of the most famous live albums of all time from 1975, Kiss Alive.
Fair enough.
You heard of it?
Yeah, it's amazing. Like our favourite bands of all time,
Yeah.
but both made it into
I
number one
agree.
of our live
Now,
albums.
I'm not going to pick Kiss Alive just because it is like Matanza, you know, have you ever heard of Kiss Alive?
I have heard of, I have not heard it.
Right.
Specifics.
Same here.
Kiss Alive, and this is just, you can look on Wikipedia, look at anything. Kiss Alive is the album that broke down the barriers for live albums in rock music.
Okay.
It was that important to the band Kiss's career. It was that important to live albums, and it helped define a generation for many reasons. Kiss's first big hit was Rock and Roll All Night live from this album. It was also their first album to go platinum,
Okay.
and it was the album that meant they could quit their day jobs, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure if Kiss had day jobs, but what I mean is their first three albums didn't sell, and this is the album that got them massive and they've never looked back since.
Fair enough.
This was the album that got them.
So
But the
this was their No Sleep Till Hammersmith.
It was, but Motorhead has success before No Sleep Till Hammersmith.
But
Kiss didn't.
No Sleep was their breakthrough.
No, it wasn't, because Ace of Spades came out before No Sleep Till Hammersmith, as did Bomber and Overkill. So sorry if I've said I'm just making.
You made me look like a fucking moron now. I hope you're happy.
No, it's fine. You did that with me in Trivium.
Matanza, Matthew Fedora, and Mr. DuPont making many, many, many people look like idiots since December 2015.
And mostly ourselves.
Yeah, but you're the new one, so we kind of have the most to go at you for.
Yeah, I'm the idiot, but carry on.
No, three idiots. 3 idiots in a room on a Sunday. But anyway, with Kiss Alive, right? Let's just say this, and you get the likes of Chris Jericho, Fred Durst, even like Tommy Lee from Motley Crue, all citing this album as an influence on their lives, because you feel like you're at a concert. Yeah. It opens with Deuce. It ends with Let Me Go Rock and Roll, with Rock and Roll 2-disc. Oh yeah, record company, Kiss. We want a 2-disc live album. Yeah. The record company go insane. Too long, people won't buy it. The album cover is fantastic. It's Kiss on stage, looking exhausted and sweaty, but looking incredible.
I've seen that cover actually. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's fantastic. And Alive led to Alive 2. It led to Alive 3. And then Alive 4 Symphony Orchestra in 2003. Nice. But essentially, it's Kiss's best live album, one of the greatest live albums of all time, the first live album I ever listened to as well. So that it's got a massive place in my heart. Yeah. Peter Criss's drum solo during 100,000 Years is phenomenal. It's like 10 minutes long and you don't get bored. You're just so into it. Ace Frehley's guitar solo during She, which is the bit where it smokes and it rises. It's just, Kiss is about spectacle, a lot of it. And this time you're listening with your ears, but you can see it. You can see it and you can feel it. Yeah, man. And that is why Kiss Alive is that good. And let's just say this. Kiss Alive doesn't have Detroit on it. It doesn't have Love Gun. It doesn't have God of Thunder. It doesn't have Beth. It doesn't have Crazy Nights, God Gave. It doesn't, basically all their biggest hits aren't even on the album.
You're not selling it.
But that doesn't matter, because the first 3 albums live work. Songs like Black Diamond, Strutter, Deuce, Got to Choose, Hotter Than Hell, 100,000 Years, Rock and Roll All Night, Let Me Go Rock and Roll. What else? Let me think. Cold Gin. Cold Gin. Paul Stanley's intro at the beginning of Cold Gin is timeless. How many people here like to drink vodka and orange juice? It's so cheesy, but it's so Paul Stanley.
Yeah, of course it is. It's classic rock and roll, isn't it?
Exactly. And it is the best live album from the 70s. And, yeah, some people might say Frampton Comes Alive by Peter Frampton. But for me, Kiss are a much better band with a much better back catalogue than Peter Frampton. It's my favourite live album of all time, Kiss Alive. And it's now 41 years old. And
Jesus.
Yeah, 2 of the members are no longer in the band, but I've discussed that before. Matt Mills, have you ever heard of Kiss Alive?
I have heard of it because I've seen the cover.
Yes.
And I've heard of it. It's kind of always avoided my attention, like you say, because it doesn't have those classic hits. Yeah. It doesn't have Detroit Rock City. It doesn't have I Was Made for Loving You, Baby. Yeah. So I think for that reason, it's sort of avoided my radar a bit. Right, yeah. Because I'm a very casual Kiss fan. Yes. I know 1 or 2 songs, and that's it. Really.
Can I quickly say this, actually? They open with Deuce, which in my opinion is their second best gig opener, because Deuce was their opener for about 3-4 tours until Detroit Rock City came out. Yeah. And then Detroit Rock City took its place, with Deuce becoming 4th or 5th in the set. And that's still the case now. Matanza, Kiss Alive, Kiss as a live band.
As a live band, they have great status, but I have never heard anything on that album for the same reasons that Mills has just given. Yeah. I am a very casual Kiss fan. I will listen to them, but it's just one of those things, I really have never been a big enough fan of them to really get so into them that I would pay much attention to more than the hits.
Got you. I believe it was recorded in over 2 free nights at Cobo Hall in Detroit. If I'm wrong on that, I've really embarrassed myself.
If you're wrong on that, you're not going to make it to next week because you are going to get lynched on the street.
It's
by
definitely
our
Como Hall.
Yeah.
I just need to remember the city in the US. But the fact is, though, where it's recorded wasn't that important for the album. It
Yeah.
was more the live album. The setting wasn't important.
Yeah.
For other albums we've mentioned, the setting was. With Kiss, they could be playing any venue in the 70s and recording it, and it still sounded fantastic. And, you know, 3 of the members sing lead vocals, and yes, my favourite live album of all time, and I think it will be. Now, so we're wrapping it up. Next week we'll be without Matanza, but we look forward to him returning the following week, and we will be doing a review of Sabaton and Alestorm at Southampton Guildhall.
Fuck yeah.
I shall be sure to bring you 2 back souvenirs from the oldest record store on the planet.
Got you.
Thank you very much.
Sweet. And Mills here will be reviewing Wilson, as well as talking about his interview.
Yes, of course.
We will be talking about the Reading Festival announcement from Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
We will also, as we always do, talk about any news that randomly occurs. We will be talking about Faith No More and how important they were in the 90s, and how it's fantastic that they made a new album last year, and how the return of that band has been significant for me as a music fan, and getting into them has helped get me into other bands, to be honest, even.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about System of a Down and how we love them but they frustrate us, and how not making an album in 11 years, including a now 5-year reunion, frustrates us, or frustrates me at least, at the least. We'll be talking about that. Anything else, Mills, or...?
Well, you've pretty much covered it. I'm sure we'll think of some other stuff during the week, but I think that's a pretty good lineup we got there.
Sweet. So, Mr. DuPont out.
This is Matt Mills out.
And finally, Matanza Mafia Fedora out.
Bye, people.